Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It's been a slow one all day. We kind of gapped down, worked our way down. No real updates. You just heard about trade and all that. Then right here, the big little knife was off a Trump Truth Social. He posted the letter that he will be sending to South Korea and Japan regarding the reciprocal tariffs. They pretty much have till August 1st to do some, or that's when the new tariffs come into play. And essentially, he's going to be charging these countries 25% minimum and then 25% on top of whatever tariff they choose to charge the United States. So that caused a reaction, but we talked about it. You could go see the plays that were affected. They kind of stopped moving, and I think the market's kind of doing its thing already. And then remember, Japan, South Korea, they're big, but not really in the data that I showed, as I reminded you guys, because even right now you have the dollar and currencies moving very big. And we brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Some of you were asking for the timestamp, so let me get you the chart. And then I have a date on it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is from June 24th. This was the day of Powell. But yeah, like I was saying, like the yen is down 1%, and like Japan doesn't matter. Japan exports, the car prices are cheaper, dude, because of their currency. So ever since Trump instituted tariffs, you are paying 15% less on exports of Japanese vehicles. Yes, that's a fact. Why? Because their currency has weakened so much. So yeah, you may pay more on a tariff fee, but if the currency is weaker and people could buy more, well, then there you go. There you go. Oh, well, you're not supposed to be here, so I'll let it slide, because that's what happens after I time you guys out. But I'm not fucking around. Please don't ever do that again. And if you have been banned before and sent me emails and did all of that shit, bro, listen, I'm not here. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to remember it until you bring it back up. But it's very simple, you guys. I remember you guys, and that's why I'm like, come on. So if you want to be here and you're going to, really try to do that, just please follow the rules. And especially, I think it's going to be the intro for Philo today. I'm done with this little over spiritualization, calling people prophets and shit. I'm done with it. It's done. It's over, you guys. It's bad. And I need you to be mentally stable. And I'm not going to stand for people trying to confuse you and even encourage a lack of stability. Okay? So I hope y'all hear me. I say this for the benefit of you and everyone else, but at one point, if you don't hear me, I mean, what good is it? Like I said, at the beginning of the year, I've told you about my effect on people, and if I could really connect with you and you could hear me, I've had a great effect. But if I give you time and energy and it's going one ear out the other, bro, I give up, because I've noticed with that type of outcome, it never has created fruit. So I've stopped planting there. So y'all need to make up your mind with it and use and listen to what is said. But if someone has to keep repeating it to you and it's not having the effect, and you keep insisting on your own route, my brother, you will be free to go your own route. And that's why I'm saying, if you want to believe that I am, and if you want to believe in a savior and a prophet, believe in Jesus Christ. If you're going to assume anything else, you got to go somewhere else, bro, because I'm not going to entertain that shit. It's not good for people. So amen, amen. But that being said, get ready for Philo. I'm going to send out the alerts and all of that, baby. So let's have a good day. I got a good one, but I might do it a little different today. So let me go get my carbo, and I'll get all of that ready for you. And we'll get ready to go, baby.
I do, but here's the thing. As the private markets democratize, and, the mega sponsors couple with the wirehouses, that's a space where they're going to be price-insensitive buyers. They need to get capital to work. They're going to enjoy the management fees. I'm not sure they care about the carries as much. And so what I want to be able to do is build a portfolio of middle market companies and have them be, once we put them together, have them attractive to kind of get into that whole capital mix.
The final question is just interesting to think about the kinds of clients you're working with. I mean, do they benefit from the bill that was just passed, in the sense, look, they raised the estate, tax, that sort of thing, but in general, do their companies benefit? Do they think that, the performance of stocks and sort of assets is going to be better, or is it too soon to tell, not much of a discussion point?
Just isolating the bill itself is probably, I would say, an incremental net positive, certainly for the short term. Where I lose sleep is balancing the long term and the short term. When the long term eventually meets the short term.
The cost of it.
What happens? So exactly. So we've got, if you buy a 30-year treasury today, if we don't reconcile the budget, we're not going to make the maturity. And we estimate that interest will envelop our whole budget in less than in a little more than 20 years. And so that is and that's why I think, for me, watching that 30-year treasury yield is an important barometer.
You're still buyers of fixed income, though, maybe on the corporate side or what have you. Jack, appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Talk through all this. Jack Ablin with Crescent Capital. The president now also threatening to slap an additional 10% tariff on countries aligning with what he calls the anti-American policies of the BRICS emerging nations. Let's bring in Tim Seymour to talk a little bit more about this. He's the CIO of Seymour Asset Management and a CNBC contributor. Tim, welcome to you.
Hi, Kelly.
First of all, where do we stand on the tariff front with many of these countries? I mean, they're already caught in the cross currents of what Megan and I were just discussing. So another 10%, what does that mean?
Well, it means we have effective tax rates here that are higher than they've been since post-World War II, and they might get a lot worse. And we've got 3 deals. Maybe we know one of them's done, and the least important is Vietnam. But I think the headlines today are a reaction to a gathering over the weekend and, frankly, a group of multinationals that have met before and are looking to at least have a role in a world that is not necessarily reliant on the U.S., that is seeking trade deals away from the U.S. And, while this shouldn't be seen as acrimonious to the U.S., it is something that obviously ruffled feathers. I think for the investment strategy around investing outside the U.S., it doesn't change anything, frankly. I think the tariff profile of the rest of the world will continue to evolve over the next couple of days, and we clearly have some volatility around these announcements.
Yeah, you said you were a little surprised, though, that the dollar's rising, but half a point or percent today.
No, it's fascinating. I mean, if anything, I would think that these dynamics, while in terms of a pure theory around deficits and collecting tariffs, et cetera, would possibly improve here. I think the reality is it's all somewhat dollar weaker. And I think the trend on the weaker dollar remains. And it's not necessarily because the rest of the world's going to start selling our currency. And I think some of the fund flows around the dollar, first of all, have been more about maybe global hedging against a weaker dollar. I don't think you've seen an outright sale of U.S. assets and an outright sale of owning U.S., but I think there has been positioning to at least hedge against that. Now, at some point, I think there will be more of that. But my general view on investing globally and where we have seen outperformance is there have been a handful of important, obvious triggers to getting people's attention. But we're talking about 15 years of underperformance and fund outflows.
Exactly.
Last week, you had $5.5 billion of inflow into EM equity. And I think that's the kind of thing that you're going to continue to see, mostly because people are underweight.
Does a 10% tariff matter to any one of these individual countries? And this basket is so large, they're all so different. But is it a bigger threat to Brazil or to Saudi Arabia? Saudi could be interesting just from geopolitical point of view, but does it matter? The market performance of a lot of these countries, like you say, has been decent.
I think the Latin American countries that at least have exposure to commodities, copper, oil, and gas are going to do what they do, which is be dollar exporters with a domestic cost base in local currency. And I think they're going to be okay. I think the tariff regime that's being put out there is something that certainly will have an impact. But I don't think it's changing how Brazil and India and China and Russia is thrown in the BRICS. But obviously, that's a totally different story in terms of sanctions we have around Russia and where they sit in global trade. I think it's really only about oil.
Right. And going back to the big kahuna, the C of the BRICS, where are you on the, sort of trade and tariff issues with China and on the prospects for their market now?
Well, I think we have gotten a little complacent on the risks around what kind of a deal will be struck. And I think some of the rare earths announcements and some of the announcements that we have a deal, at least the administration right now is listing China as a deal done or more or less done and not a place where I think they're digging in. This extra 10% to the BRIC nations, we'll see. I think investing in China tech looks very interesting. I think part of the story around investing in China tech is that China themselves have taken a lot of the pressure off their national champion mega cap tech companies, Alibaba specifically, Tencent specifically. We've seen some resurgence over the last couple of weeks.
Oh. Chattadonia. How you feeling? It's time, baby. It is time for Philo. So, if you're here right now, I'm assuming you want to be here. If not, no worries. I'll just leave. But we are going to talk about God and a lot of things. I'm actually going to play something. What I want to do is it might take a long time, actually. So I hope we could get through all of it. But what I'm going to do is play something that's very confusing. And I'm going to try to stop it and play it for you. And I'm going to give you a couple of points ahead of time. And you'll see, but, oh, dude, this one is amazing. I don't know. I like it. This was a great weekend. So let me finish the intro first. But very simple. Post only stock stuff or be involved in Philo. Anything else, some of you have already been banned before, so I hope you've got to learn. Very simple, man. If it's not breaking, pressing stuff, we'll get to it later. You could still ask it. We'll just get to it there. Otherwise, let's get good workflow. Focus on what matters, and we will go from there, baby. We will go from there. So, other than that, my friends, I'm very, very glad. And I hope you are too. And I hope, above all else, bro, I hope you did not forget the Philo on Thursday. Okay? I don't know, man. I really believe, man, there's a lot of possibilities and there's some good things. And I would hate to see some of you limited. Again, whether it's self-imposed limitations, whether it's doing stuff you don't want, whether it's doing what you're not really called for, man. I don't know, man. Be yourself. I see a lot of things where just remember your blessing and calling. God did not place it in the imitation of something. You know, that's why, like, embrace the good things of life, man. Embrace failure. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't embrace limits and let it out, bro. Let your full expression of you out, man. And I'm just telling you, I know there's a lot of noise in all of it, but it all starts with the belief. So just a little quick reminder, and God is good, baby. God is big. So I hope that you don't limit it even with your dreams. So that was just a little reminder on Friday, but there's a bunch. So what I want to talk about today, I have a couple of random stuff not related. And then I have something related to it, bro. And it tripped me out because I told you I had a great weekend, bro. I was driving this little RV around and I did a lot of driving. And you know what I would do when I would drive, bro? I vibed, bro. I vibed heavy because there was like 2 speakers in the car. And I had people I was driving around, and then I was driving, though. I liked the driving of it. And I had my own little speakers. So what do you think I was doing on my speakers? I had a big drive. I had a long drive. So I was like, let me listen to something. I was going to listen to Richest Man of Babylon. But then I was like, you know, I want to hear my boy GK. You guys remember GK Chesterton? That's what I meant by confusing. He's very complex dude. But I was just reading. I was just listening to something we've already read. And dude, oh man, I don't know if we read this one. I don't know if we picked up on it, but there was a chapter in there in orthodoxy, and dude, it blew my mind. It blew my mind, bro. Oh, I can't wait to share this one with you. You know why? Because there's a couple of things about it. You know, the first part, I don't know if it's a chapter of the book I'm going to read to you. Or I'm gonna play the audio book, and then I'm gonna stop in between. But oh, dude, this one was. I always enjoy a good G.K. Chesterton, but this one, I don't know. I think it relates. I think it relates to a lot of different things. But when it's all said and done, I really do believe that this is something that's relevant and relevant to right now, and it's something that. It should give you clarity. And that's what I want. This is one of the other intros, bro. This is kind of what I was saying in the morning. I don't know if you guys noticed my reaction. I don't want, and I've been on this all year, I don't want to entertain certain things. And I strongly suggest that if it doesn't align in that sense with you, I wouldn't entertain it either. I think you guys have a responsibility to also take care of yourself as well too. You know what I'm saying? So I really hope you feel me on that. But I heard somebody talking about this, man. It's a natural part, man. You go through with stuff, but after a certain point, bro, and if you really are like, you know, I think some of you have gone through it in your life where you start picking up certain foods, you start eating a certain way, you start changing your lifestyle, you start caring about yourself in a different way. It's very simple. But now you start living in a way, man, your vibration, frequency, call it whatever you want, bro. But it's a little too straightforward to be dabbling with any confusion. Does that make sense? My brother, when your intentions are straightforward and when you know exactly where you are going, when you have a goal, you don't really like, whether it's not like anger, it's not like you think you're better than anybody. It's just quite simply just too much commotion to be vibing in that. Are you feeling me? I really hope you are, man, because this is so important. Like, I'm telling you, bro, it's not even that deep. It's not even that cold. It's like straight up, bro. It's very, very simple. Are you heading on the path that you want? That's like I'm saying. I know exactly where the intent, the aim, the goal. I know exactly. That's what I'm saying with like a lot of this stuff, bro. The goal is what? I know exactly who to worship. It's God. You get what I'm saying?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hope you all had a great weekend. I want to start by addressing the devastation
Texas, yeah.
from the tragedy.
That's why. So we'll get back to it in a little. Don't worry. I'll get you headlines if she talks. But no, bro, for real. Like, that's what I'm saying. In the future, I'm just going to zero tolerance this. You give God the credit. Anybody else, that's ridiculous. And I hope you see why. Because like I'm telling you, I know exactly where the worship should go. I know exactly who should be getting the credit. If you think I get up every morning in an effort to glorify myself, you are mistaken, and I will not let that happen because I get up to glorify God. You know what I'm saying? So don't rob me of that blessing, and I won't rob you of it as well either. And that goes for everybody, but it's like I'm saying, bro, there's a lot of things, even with the gambling. Oh, pizza, dying. But it's like, dude, we know where we're going. I know exactly where the long term will take you. I know exactly where property, real estate, mixing it in with investing and all of that, bro. It's a good plan. You know exactly where it's going to lead in life. No one was like, Josh, I saved up a bunch of money, got into real estate, and I regret it. You have not encountered that yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that's why I'm saying anything that adds confusion. So I encourage you to be very intent with what you want and where you're going and figure that out. And like I'm saying, man, at some point you are going to have to grow to stop vibing and really entertaining the stuff that adds confusion. And the more and more you live in clarity, I hope it does bless you all. All right, baby. Amen. 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 And don't run away from what you should embrace. You guys know that, right? Don't run away. Sometimes, I know. Sir, that's the whole limit things, bro. And you'll get involved in stuff. And I know, failure means you should double down. Don't be scared of it. You see, don't be scared to fail. That's why I'm saying, though, like, be yourself. I've talked a lot of it, and this is, I don't think people see it, bro. When you resort to, like, an imitation of something, that's robbing you, bro. So I'll just we've talked on that a lot, so I'm gonna let you figure that one out. But for real, it's all part of it, and clarity and stuff. Like, what are you running from? Why do you want to be everything but the things you want? Oh man, why? Well, so surrender, bro. And surrender something big to God. Don't be afraid to think big, and you can think big and be big, and it doesn't, like, again, man, you have your own calling. Have you been called? So think about it. But that being said, now, what I want to share with you today is G.K. Chesterton. It's orthodoxy, and I like this one a lot because we've read it before, and I don't know if we got to this chapter or not. But the level of clarity that this provided. And I do think it's very relevant to a lot of things going on in the world. But it pretty much, he goes on to talk about how in an effort to contradict the Jesus of the Bible, people are not afraid to contradict themselves. Better yet, people are so hell-bent on contradicting Jesus that they don't care if their attempt even contradicts everything else they believe. So let me give you the best example. And this is what he talks about, bro, and I love it. Are you ready for this one? Because I know you've heard it. The best example is that religion. Here, how many of you agree that religion is the mother of war? Right? God, Jesus, crusades. Religion is the mother of war. How many religious people have used their religion to kill and slaughter? Religion and war. Right? The breeding grounds. The breeding grounds of war has been religion. This has been one of the major complaints lodged against Christianity and any religion, any organized religion, if you think about it. That religion is the mother of war. All of it is started. Okay. And that makes sense. I think you have evidence. Okay. So, hear me out now. Are you ready? How is it then that the same religion, same Christianity, they've said it causes all wars, the mother of war, but how come it's the same thing? I've had people close to me complain that Christianity is weak. I've heard Andrew Tate complain about this, for crying out loud. I don't think G.K. Chesterton foresaw Andrew Tate falling into this, but he does. People have said Christianity is a weak religion. Turn the other cheek, and they say, what do you mean, the meekness? And they say, there was years, 30, 40 years, where they used to say Christianity created weak men. And they say, what do you mean, turn the other cheek? And all. Have you heard that? Have any of you ever heard that? That it creates docile men, and it tells them to not fight, and how are you going to do anything? Again, I've heard Andrew Tate say this exact thing, and said that Christianity is weak. Okay, Spy Pop. Trump to visit Texas. I don't know if it's what Caroline said, but that might be in relation. Pause.
We hope that it will be later this week, likely on Friday, but of course we want to do it at the most appropriate time on the ground for state and local officials. We don't want to interrupt the recovery efforts, but we're planning tentatively for a Friday trip, and when that becomes final, we'll let all of you know, as we always do.
And you gave a little bit
EU no tariff letter.
Weather Service, the union
Yeah.
actually publicly stated they had an adequate staff on hand to forecast and predict the storm. You shared your thoughts earlier on how the way the left has really weaponized this to blame the deaths in Texas on Trump. Want to comment on that again?
Yeah, I just do think those comments are depraved and despicable, especially.
All right, yeah,
when
so
many
EU
Americans
no
are
letter.
mourning
That's the pop.
The loss of children.
Nice. I think EU, which is good. That'll be way bigger than Japan. I think it just depends on the details, or like I said earlier, we might get the follow-up later. You know what I'm saying? So we will see. And then maybe China. I think China's what's pushing oil. But we'll see. We're getting first two pops there. She's talking, and then that's circulating right now. And then Trump to visit Texas later this week. But yeah, Christianity. Look at you guys are already answering it. But let's take a step back. You guys don't think that's weird? You just called the same religion the mother of war, and you called it weak. How is that possible? Like I'm saying, if you take a step in the effort of contradicting religion, people are not afraid to contradict themselves. That's weird. That's weird. How can it be both? And that's what GK talks about. Let me ask you guys a question. This blew my mind. Are you ready? Why do you like society and civilization? Answer. Give me an answer. Why do you like it? European Union says the bloc will not receive a formal letter from U.S. outlining higher tariffs. That's the official headline. Why do you like society and civilization? I need an answer, chat. Why do you like society and stabilization? Or in society and civilization? So listen, let me read this to you. I ask you guys why you like society and civilization. One of the greatest things ever. And you guys say stability and security. Toilets and prosecution against rape and murder. Not afraid, stronger together, trust, comfort, safety, reliance, not being alone, no toilets, camaraderie. So, I don't mean this in a mean way, because this is what G.K. Chesterton says. These are all really dumb answers. Do you know why? Because society and civilization is amazing, and it is really, really complex. I don't think anybody could answer it in 1 or 2 words. Do you see it? Because if you try to boil down a very, very, very complex thing that offers a lot of benefits and a lot of bad things too, right? Society brings a lot of evil as much as it does good. You'll try, exactly, that's what he says. You'll try, but it's just, he says it's a weird phenomena that even though society has given us such great things, if we try to explain it, you can't really explain it all. And in any efforts, it just comes out like it just seems so minuscule to what it actually is. And he said anything that is really great is usually extremely complex. But it's also simple as well. Society is simple, but it's extremely complex. You're right, bro. The toilet shit is amazing and it's simple, and that's a huge benefit. But imagine the invisible thousands of armies of workers that were created to get that toilet created, working, the plumbing, all of that. It's so intense. And then running and operating and then sanitation. Amazing. Look how deep that is. But we can't just be like, I like a toilet. Even if you know in your heart, you know in your mind, there's so much that you could explain about it. But when you try to put something that complex into work, it doesn't work. Isn't that phenomenal? So he goes on. I'm going to play it for you, and I'll stop it. Because I tell you, I want you to hear what I hear, but I can't say it to you. I can't say it how he said it. That's why I've always read G.K. Chesterton to you guys. I don't know if you've noticed it. He is so beautiful with what I can't ever say it how he says it. That's why I either read it to you or I have to play it to you, because you need to hear how he frames the argument, and it is amazing. But this is the whole point. Exactly. It's the dude. He talks about the complexity of God and the benefits, and how, ironically, we have used these shallow ways of explaining things, and it just led to a bunch of multitudes of contradictions. But it's very, very weird. So you'll see. Let me now start to play. But there's one more factor, and I'll stop when we get here. But here is chapter 6. Of orthodoxy, the paradoxes of Christianity. I think it has music in the background too, so I don't even think I have to. Yeah.
The real trouble with this world of ours is not that it is an unreasonable world, nor even that it is a reasonable one. The commonest kind of trouble is that it is nearly reasonable, but not quite. Life is not an illogicality. Yet it is a trap for logicians. It looks just a little more mathematical and regular than it is. Its exactitude is obvious, but its inexactitude is hidden. Its wildness lies in wait. I give one coarse instance of what I mean. Suppose some mathematical creature from the moon were to reckon up the human body. he would at once see that the essential thing about
it
it was that it
was... So like
was...
I said, he's going to explain this like alien thing. This is a good part too. So what he's about to get into is explaining like the deductions. What he's going to talk about is like 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, right? You all, like, think about it. Your whole body is like, it's replicated. Have you guys noticed that? Like, go look at you have 2 hands, you have 1 finger, and then it matches on the other one, right? You have 2 kidneys, 2 lungs even. So if you looked at your hands, your feet, and saw a mirror image of all of these things, let me ask you this. How many hearts would you guess that you have? That's what he talks about. So he's saying if an alien came to Earth, he's going to explain this factor of like the alien would look at all of these copies, but then he would be like, well, what about the heart? How come we only have 1 heart? You see how that kind of changes? Everything else in our body, you got 2, and you could logically deduce that, but how come you only got 1 heart? Ta-da!
Duplicate. A man is 2 men. He on the right, exactly resembling him on the left. Having noted that there was an arm on the right and 1 on the left, a leg on the right and 1 on the left, he might go further and still find on each side the same number of fingers, the same number of toes, twin eyes.
When was the last time you smiled without hesitation? I meet people every day who cover their mouths when they laugh.
It just hit me with an ad? Oh, it's because I didn't reload it. Oh, there shouldn't have been an ad. That's way to kill the vibe, dude. Please hold. If you need a smile, let me know. Please hold.
Globe. A blade.
Okay, we're gonna have to speed through it. That fucked it all up. I had it set up from the morning.
Chapter 6. The Paradoxes of Christianity.
Hold on.
The real trouble with this world of ours is not that it is an unreasonable world, nor even that it is a reasonable one. The commonest kind of trouble is that it is nearly reasonable, but not quite. Life is not an illogicality, yet it is a trap for logicians. It looks just a little more mathematical and regular than it is. Its exactitude is obvious, but its inexactitude is hidden. Its wildness lies in wait. I give one coarse instance of what I mean. Suppose some mathematical creature from the moon were to reckon up the human body. He would at once see that the essential thing about it was that it was duplicate. A man is 2 men. He on the right, exactly resembling him on the left. Having noted that there was an arm on the right and 1 on the left, a leg on the right and 1 on the left, he might go further and still find on each side the same number of fingers, the same number of toes, twin eyes, twin ears, twin nostrils, and even twin lobes of the brain. At last he would take it as a law, and then, where he found a heart on one side, would deduce that there was another heart on the other. And just then, where he most felt he was right, he would be wrong. It is this silent swerving from accuracy by an inch that is the uncanny element in everything. It seems a sort of secret treason in the universe. An apple or an orange is round enough to get itself called round, and yet is not round after all. The Earth itself is shaped like an orange in order to lure some simple astronomer into calling it a globe. A blade of grass is called after the blade of a sword because it comes to a point, but it doesn't.
I love it. Are you guys hearing this? So again, I was driving, listening to all this, and I love it. But you're seeing what he's saying about the words. And again, a blade of grass, a globe, all of it. The world is circular, but then flat, and there's so many things. So I hope you're getting what he is outlining so far.
Everywhere in things there is this element of the quiet and incalculable. It escapes the rationalists, but it never escapes till the last moment. From the grand curve of our Earth, it could easily be inferred that every inch of it was thus curved. It would seem rational that as a man has a brain on both sides, he should have a heart on both sides. Yet scientific men are still organising expeditions to find the North Pole, because they are so fond of flat country. Scientific men are also still organising expeditions to find a man's heart, and when they try to find it, they generally get on the wrong side of him. Now, actual insight or inspiration is better.
That's a banger. They're still making expeditions to find man's heart, and when they do, they usually get on the wrong side of him. That's just a side note.
tested by whether it guesses these hidden malformations or surprises. If our mathematician from the moon saw the 2 arms and the 2 ears, he might deduce the 2 shoulder blades and the 2 halves of the brain. But if he guessed that the man's heart was in the right place, then I should call him something more than a mathematician. Now, this is exactly the claim which I have since come to propound for Christianity. Not merely that it deduces logical truths, but that when it suddenly becomes illogical, it has found, so to speak, an illogical truth. It not only goes right about things, but it goes wrong, if one may say so, exactly where the things go wrong. Its plan suits the secret irregularities and expects the unexpected. It is simple about the simple truth, but it is stubborn about the subtle truth. It will admit that a man has 2 hands. It will not admit, though all the modernists wail to it, the obvious deduction that he has 2 hearts. It is my only purpose in this chapter to point this out, to show that whenever we feel there is something odd in Christian theology, we shall generally find that there is something odd in the truth. I have alluded to an unmeaning phrase to the effect.
So you get what he's saying. He's just saying it's the society and life. It's too complex. Most of the things that you're like, well, that's weird. Why does the Bible say this about that? You should ask yourself, why is that the truth of the world? So he's, again, I'm telling you, this blew my mind. I think I've read this to you. I can't tell. 12 more letters will come today. That's where you got your drop on. That's where it's coming from. Well, that's what he's saying, like, and then again, I mean, he's gonna get to it, but I'll tell you, because I know he's hard to listen to. That's why this time I'm playing it and I'm kind of stopping and I'm trying to help you guys get some of the connections. But dude, what he's pretty much saying is the world and society is already weird and complex. You even go look, like he's saying, the Bible, it's simple about the simple truths, and then the illogical truths. The Bible still has an answer. It has an answer to going wrong and the correction even ahead of its time. That's the weird part. You know, think about it. It was able to deduce 1 heart correctly if you read the text and really think about that. And that's where he's saying, how does it go that? And long story short, pretty much the Bible accounted for even how the truth would be misused. If you read it, it was ahead of that. So yeah, Levitt is live. That's where the headline on EU was a separate one. She didn't say that, and then right now she just said close to other deals and 12 more are coming out today. So that's where we're getting this little dance around. So see, you might start to move around here. So we got some headlines and you got some good listening.
The fact that such and such a creed cannot be believed in our age. Of course, anything can be believed in any age, but oddly enough, there really is a sense in which a creed, if it is believed at all, can be believed more fixedly in a complex society than in a simple one. If a man finds Christianity true in Birmingham, he has actually clearer reasons for faith than if he found it true in Mercia. For the more complicated seems the coincidence, the less it can be a coincidence. If snowflakes fell in the shape, say, of the heart of Midlothian, it might be an accident. But if snowflakes fell in the exact shape of the maze at Hampton Court, I think one might call it a miracle. It is exactly as of such a miracle that I have since come to feel of the philosophy of Christianity. The complication of our modern world proves the truth of the creed more perfectly than any of the plain problems of the ages of faith. It was in Notting Hill and Battersea that I began to see that Christianity was true. This is why the faith has that elaboration of doctrines and details, which so much distresses those who admire Christianity without believing in it. When once one believes in a creed, one is proud of its complexity, as scientists are proud of the complexity of science. It shows how rich it is in discoveries. If it is right at all, it is a compliment to say that it's elaborately right. A stick might fit a hole or a stone a hollow by accident, but a key and a lock are both complex, and if a key fits a lock, you know it is the right key. But this involved accuracy of the thing makes it very difficult to do what I now have to do, to describe this accumulation of truth. It is very hard for a man to defend anything of which he is entirely convinced. It is
So this is the part about the society thing. So listen, like he's saying, it's very complex, complexity. You take pride in it. Some of you guys do. Think about it. The stock market's difficult. Stock market is extremely hard. You understand the complexity. You kind of take pride into it. It's not just the stock went up. You're like, no, it went up because of this, and this. You see what I'm saying? So, and then now he's saying it's hard. If you're fully convinced in something, just think about it. So, continuing.
Comparatively easy when he is only partially convinced. He is partially convinced because he has found this or that proof of the thing, and he can expound it. But a man is not really convinced of a philosophic theory when he finds that something proves it. He is only really convinced when he finds that everything proves it. And the more converging reasons he finds pointing to this conviction, the more bewildered he is if asked suddenly to sum them up.
Kid, are you hearing it? So again, it's not like one thing. Honestly, if I told you we kill it at the long term, I can't just tell you one play. We've been doing it for I've done it in my life over 2 decades. Now we're talking, you've seen it here for half a decade. You don't evidence, you need it over and over again. When you start seeing the truth everywhere. Think about it. Long term, you see every single one of these names everywhere. Oh yeah. So think about what he's talking about, but then you'll see it, confirms your belief, and you're like, wow, I see this everywhere. I can't look at there. That's truth. And then someone asks you to sum it up. Tell me about it. You'll be bewildered. That was the question I asked you guys. This is that part.
Thus, if one asked an ordinary, intelligent man, on the spur of the moment, why do you prefer civilization to savagery? He would look wildly round at object after object, and would only be able to answer vaguely, why, there is that bookcase, and the coals in the coal scuttle, and pianos, and policemen. The whole case for civilization is that the case for it is complex. It has done so many things. But that very multiplicity of proof which
the case for it is the case of what it is
ought to make reply overwhelming, makes reply impossible. There is, therefore, about all complete conviction a kind of huge helplessness. The belief is so big that it takes a long time to get it into action, and this hesitation chiefly arises, oddly enough, from an indifference about where one should begin. All roads lead to Rome, which is one reason why many people never get there. In the case of this defense of the Christian conviction, I confess that I would as soon begin the argument with one thing as another. I would begin it with a turnip or a taximeter cab. But if I am to be at all careful about making my meaning clear, it will, I think, be wiser to continue the current arguments of the last chapter, which was concerned to urge the first of these mystical coincidences, or rather, ratifications. All I had hitherto heard of Christian theology had alienated me from it. I was a pagan at the age of 12, and a complete agnostic by the age of 16, and I cannot understand anyone passing the age of 17 without having asked himself so simple a question. I did, indeed, retain a cloudy reverence for a cosmic deity, and a great historical interest in the founder of Christianity, but I certainly regarded him as a man, though perhaps I thought that, even in that point, he had an advantage over some of his modern critics. I read the scientific and skeptical literature of my time, all of it, at least that I could find written in English and lying about, and I read nothing else. I mean, I read nothing else on any other note of philosophy. The penny dreadfuls which I also read were indeed in a healthy and heroic tradition of Christianity, but I did not know this at the time. I never read a line of Christian apologetics. I read as little as I can of them now. It was Huxley and Herbert Spencer and Bradlaugh who brought me back to orthodox theology. They sowed in my mind my first wild doubts of doubt. Our grandmothers were quite right when they said that Tom Paine and the free thinkers unsettled the mind. They do. They unsettled mine horribly. The rationalist made me question whether reason was of any use whatever, and when I had finished Herbert Spencer, I had got as far as doubting, for the first time, whether evolution had occurred at all. As I laid down the last of Colonel Ingersoll's atheistic lectures, the dreadful thought broke across my mind. Almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian.
I forgot that one guy, and that's, I don't know. For those of you who are atheists, you should learn, go and study where it came from. Again, like this is around that time frame. You got to think about it when so the G.K. Chesterton is one of these religious dudes. Again, he ended up being Catholic, believe it or not. But this is during that time. Think about, I've read you guys some older people, but this is before you got to where we're at now. And I know, because again, how many people have you encountered that say they are atheists? But that belief came from somewhere. I know the belief of not having a belief did come from somewhere. And again, that's why GK is talking about how he read all of the oppositions essentially at this time that formed the ideas and beliefs that were prevalent. And again, one of them was a lack of God or agnosticism.
I was in a desperate way. This odd effect of the great agnostics in arousing doubts deeper than their own might be illustrated in many ways. I take only one. As I read and reread all the non-Christian or anti-Christian accounts of the faith, from Huxley to Bradlaugh, a slow and awful impression grew gradually, but graphically, upon my mind. The impression that Christianity must be a most extraordinary thing. For not only, as I understood, had Christianity the most flaming vices, but it had apparently a mystical talent for combining vices, which seemed inconsistent with each other. It was attacked on all sides and for all contradictory reasons. No sooner had one rationalist demonstrated that it was too far to the east, than another demonstrated with equal clearness that it was much too far to the west. No sooner had my imagination died down at its angular and aggressive squareness, than I was called up again to notice and condemn its enervating and sensual roundness. In case any reader has not come across the thing I mean, I will give such instances as I remember at random of this self-contradiction in the skeptical attack. I give 4 or 5 of them. There are 50 more.
Are you hearing it? Are you understanding what he's saying? So he's saying he got doubt, and he did start doubting things. He said he never believed in God, and then he was just, the thing that got him fascinated was, how is it that it's always attacked on every side, and then it's seemingly one thing, but then it's all, how is it a square? And they say, oh, Christianity's a square, but then the next attack will complain about how it's too circular. And then it'll say it's too high, but then they'll say it's too low. He's saying, how does it both contradict itself and answer the contradiction? How? That is the wonder that sparks the seed. So he's going to give you examples now.
Thus, for instance, I was much moved by the eloquent attack on Christianity as a thing of inhuman gloom. For I thought, and still think, sincere pessimism the unpardonable sin. Insincere pessimism is a social accomplishment, rather agreeable than otherwise, and fortunately nearly all pessimism is insincere. But if Christianity was, as these people said, a thing purely pessimistic and opposed to life, then I was quite prepared to blow up St. Paul's Cathedral. But the extraordinary thing is this. They did prove to me in chapter 1, to my complete satisfaction, that Christianity was too pessimistic, and then in chapter 2, they began to prove to me that it was a great deal too optimistic. One accusation against Christianity was that it prevented men by morbid tears and terrors.
This is where he's going on. But I will say, think about what he started, pessimism. And I love this. This is what I love about G.K. Chesterton, because this is from the 1800s, but everything he says is so relevant. He said, I think one of the most unpardonable sins is pessimism. Insincere pessimism. He said, sometimes you do it because it's a social thing. You don't think that's weird? My brother, if you don't realize that's what you have now, I hate that you don't understand what you're doing then. Do you not realize a lot of y'all who are pessimists, you have adopted that as a social thing to fit in? Oh, wait, I don't know if you want me to wait? You realize that, right? It's a social thing. That's why, like, if you're truly pessimistic, that would be interesting. That would be maybe unforgivable. You would be a different person. You really would. And then there's another part where, like, it's a social element, where it's insincere pessimism. Again, where this kind of fits in. It's a social thing. Think about it. But then that pessimism and that's a great seed that leads into a lot of trains of thoughts. Oh yeah, especially at a job. So that's what he's saying. And then again, he's getting into the example now of, like he's saying, first he's like, yeah, right when they tell me the Bible's this, he's like, I agree. But then you read the next chapter, it will contradict itself. Literally. That's why people will say the Bible is contradicting. You read it. And that's why he says that 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that. So continue.
From seeking joy and liberty in the bosom of nature. But another accusation was that it comforted men with a fictitious providence, and put them in a pink and white nursery. One great agnostic asked why nature was not beautiful enough, and why it was hard to be free. Another great agnostic objected that Christian optimism, the garment of make-believe woven by pious hands, hid from us the fact that nature was ugly, and that it was impossible to be free. One rationalist had hardly done calling Christianity a nightmare before another began to call it a fool's paradise. This puzzled me. The charges seemed inconsistent. Christianity could not at once be the black mask on a white world, and also the white mask on a black world. The state of the Christian could not be at once so comfortable that he was a coward to cling to it, and so uncomfortable that he was a fool to stand it. If it falsified human vision, it must falsify it one way or another. It could not wear both green and rose-coloured spectacles. I rolled on my tongue with a terrible joy, as did all young men of that time, the taunts which Swinburne hurled at the dreariness of the creed. Thou hast conquered, O pale Galilean. The world has grown grey with thy breath. But when I read the same poet's accounts of paganism, as in Atalanta, I gathered that the world was, if possible, more grey before the Galilean breathed on it than afterwards. The poet maintained, indeed, in the abstract, that life itself was pitch dark, and yet somehow Christianity had darkened it. The very man who denounced Christianity for pessimism was himself a pessimist. I thought there must be something wrong, and it did for one wild moment.
So he's gonna get it. I'll let him hit the punchline, but again, he said the man who criticized it of being pessimistic was the pessimist. So he's about to drop one on you.
Crossed my mind that, perhaps, those might not be the very best judges of the relation of religion to happiness who, by their own account, had neither one nor the other. It must be understood that I did not conclude hastily that the accusations were false or the accusers fools. I simply deduced that Christianity must be something even weirder and wickeder than they made out. A thing might have the...
So again, that's what he said, and I think it's a great logic. He said, even though these things contradict and people are saying it's this and that at the same time, he said, I didn't think they were fools or dumb. I just thought Christianity was probably weirder and wickeder than I could have imagined. And then he started going down the rabbit hole. That's it.
These two opposite vices. But it must be a rather queer thing if it did. A man might be too fat in one place and too thin in another, but he would be an odd shape. At this point, my thoughts were only of the odd shape of
you're getting weird staples going up. Philip Morris and PM and then DG. So I don't know if all of them are going, but yeah, staples are about to go green. Imagine, we were talking about this, but everything is still red by almost 1%, and XLP is about to go green right now. And then Justice Department says Stantec agrees to pay $4 million to resolve allegations it violated claims by submitting false certifications to EPA. Oh, and then something about Syria and UAE says the country has rescued the crew of the British ship that was attacked. This is G.K. Chesterton, Orthodoxy, Chapter 6. I think we're about halfway done. Like I said, this might take a while, but it's a little different. I've never done this before. I got to roll out the TV, and I'm just chiming in. But I love it so far. Do you guys see what I was saying? I was like, I wish I could have told you this, and I wish I could put it into my own words, but I can't. It's too beautiful, bro. And I think I think it opens up a lot. So, yeah, keep listening. Again, he's at the part where he's talking about the pessimism and the skepticism, and I think, where's
the Christian religion. I did not.
He said he went down the rabbit hole. Again, even though they were like, well, you may not have one or the other, but instead of judging the critics, he just said this might be a really weird religion that contradicts itself. So he goes down the hole.
To allege any odd shape in the rationalistic mind. Here is another case of the same kind. I felt that a strong case against Christianity lay in the charge that there is something timid, monkish, and unmanly about all that is called Christian, especially in its attitude towards resistance and fighting. The great skeptics of the 19th century were largely virile. Bradlaugh in an expansive way, Huxley in a reticent way, were decidedly men. In comparison, it did seem tenable that there was something weak and over-patient about Christian councils. The gospel paradox about the other cheek, the fact that priests never fought, 100 things made plausible the accusation that Christianity was an attempt to make a man too like a sheep. I read it and believed it, and if I had read nothing different, I should have gone on believing it. But I read something very different. I turned the next page in my agnostic manual, and my brain turned upside down. Now I found that I was to hate Christianity not for fighting too little, but for fighting too much. Christianity, it seemed, was the mother of wars. Christianity had deluged the world with blood. I had got thoroughly angry with the Christian because he was never angry, and now I was told to be angry with him because his anger had been the most huge and horrible thing in human history, because his anger had soaked the earth and smoked to the sun. The very people who reproached Christianity with the meekness and non-resistance of the monasteries were the very people who reproached it also with the violence and valour of the Crusades. It was the fault of poor old Christianity, somehow or other, both that Edward the Confessor did not fight, and that Richard Coeur de Lion did. The Quakers, we were told, were the only characteristic Christians, and yet the massacres of Cromwell and Alva were characteristic Christian crimes. What could it all mean? What was this Christianity which always forbade war and always produced wars? What could be the nature of the thing which one could abuse?
That's the question that starts like, what is this? What do you mean it forbids wars and causes them? It makes people sheep, but then they do. How do you get something like that? That is what you should be exploring. I like it. Again, as somebody who's asked a lot of questions, I'm with you, GK.
It would not fight, and second, because it was always fighting. In what world of riddles was born this monstrous murder and this monstrous meekness? The shape of Christianity grew a queerer shape every instant. I take a third case, the strangest of all, because it involves the one real objection to the faith. The one real objection to the Christian religion is simply that it is one religion. The world is a big place, full of very different kinds of people. Christianity, it may reasonably be said, is one thing confined to one kind of people. It began
He's going off from the wars and how can it be this, and now he's using the example of, again, like everything's God. We all lead, all roads lead. You know, that's this argument.
Palestine. It has practically stopped with Europe. I was duly impressed with this argument in my youth, and I was much drawn towards the doctrine often preached in ethical societies. I mean the doctrine that there is one great unconscious church of all humanity, founded on the omnipresence of the human conscience. Creeds, it was said, divided men, but at least morals united them. The soul might seek the strangest and most remote lands and ages, and still find essential ethical common sense.
You get what he's saying? This is like people saying we all have morality, and even though we all have different beliefs, it's saying as humans we all have this thing, right? You've heard this argument. Like I believe this more in college. I think this is what you get exposed to at a certain amount, and it's a good one. Like he's saying, it makes sense.
It might find Confucius under eastern trees, and he would be writing, "Thou shalt not steal." It might decipher the darkest hieroglyphic on the most primeval desert, and the meaning when deciphered would be, "Little boys should tell the truth." I believed this doctrine of the brotherhood of all men in the possession of a moral sense, and I believe it still, with other things. And I was thoroughly annoyed with Christianity for suggesting, as I supposed, that whole ages and empires of men had utterly escaped this light of justice and reason. But then I found an astonishing thing. I found that the very people who said that mankind was one church, from Plato to Emerson, were the very people who said that morality had changed altogether, and that what was right in one age was wrong in another. If I asked, say, for an altar, I was told that we needed none. For men, our brothers gave us clear oracles and one creed in their universal customs and ideals. But if I mildly pointed out that one of men's universal customs was to have an altar, then my agnostic teachers turned clean round and told me that men had always been in darkness and the superstitions of savages. I found it was their daily taunt against Christianity, that it was the light of one people and had left all others to die in the dark. But I also found that it was their special boast for themselves, that science and progress were the discovery of one people, and that all other peoples had died in the dark. Their chief insult to Christianity was actually their chief compliment to themselves, and there seemed to be a strange unfairness about all their relative insistence on the two things. When considering some pagan or agnostic, we were to remember that all men had one religion. When considering some mystic or spiritualist, we were only to consider what absurd religions some men had. We could trust the ethics of Epictetus, because ethics had never changed. We must not trust the ethics of Bossuet, because ethics had changed. They changed in 200 years, but not in 2000. This began to be a...
You get what he's saying? He said ethics changed in 200 years and not in 2000. So these people, one group of people, they like to say, and right, everyone, we all have the same religion, we're all one people, one unit, right, all of that. But then if you bring up a spiritual figure, they say, no, that person, it was just some weird, crazy, like, superstition. How? Like he's saying, it's not, he's just saying how this all contradicts. How people were not, they don't care about contradicting themselves in trying to, because how could that even make sense then? So what are you telling me? We all have one religion, but then if people engage in a spiritual activity, you call them a brute and you say, no, they were unsufficient, okay, except for them. And then it just keeps going on. It's a wild concept.
Alarming. It looked not so much as if Christianity was bad enough to include any vices, but rather as if any stick was good enough to beat Christianity with. What again could this astonishing thing be like which people were so anxious to contradict, that in doing so they did not mind contradicting themselves? I saw the same thing on every side. I can give no further space to this discussion of it in detail, but lest anyone supposes that I have unfairly selected 3 accidental cases, I will run briefly through a few others. Thus, certain skeptics wrote that the great crime of Christianity had been its attack on the family. It had dragged women to the loneliness and contemplation of the cloister, away from their homes and their children. But then, other skeptics, slightly more advanced, said that the great crime of Christianity was forcing the family and marriage upon us, that it doomed women to the drudgery of their homes and children, and forbade them loneliness and contemplation. The charge was actually reversed. Or, again, certain phrases in the epistles or the marriage service were said by the anti-Christians to show contempt for woman's intellect. But I found that the anti-Christians themselves had a contempt for woman's intellect, for it was their great sneer at the church on the continent that only women went to it. Or again, Christianity was reproached with its naked and hungry habits, with its sackcloth and dried peas. But the next minute Christianity was being reproached with its pomp and its ritualism, its shrines of porphyry and its robes of gold. It was abused for being too plain, and for being too coloured. Again, Christianity had always been accused of restraining sexuality too much, when Bradlaugh the Malthusian discovered that it restrained it too little. It is often accused in the same breath of prim respectability, and of religious extravagance. Between the covers of the same atheistic pamphlet, I have found the faith rebuked for its disunion. One thinks one thing and one another, and rebuked also for its union. It is difference of opinion that prevents the world from going to the dogs. In the same conversation, a free thinker, a friend of mine, blamed Christianity for despising Jews, and then despised it himself for being Jewish.
Wait, Japan, UK firms seek to build world's first floating data center. But yeah,
I wished to be quite fair then, and I wish to be quite fair now. And I did not conclude that the attack on Christianity was all wrong. I only concluded that if Christianity was wrong, it was very wrong indeed. Such hostile horrors might be combined in one thing, but that thing must be very strange and solitary. There are men who are misers and also spendthrifts, but they are rare. There are men sensual and also ascetic, but they are rare. But if this mass of mad contradictions really existed, Quakerish and bloodthirsty, too gorgeous and too threadbare, austere, yet pandering preposterously to the lust of the eye, the enemy of women and their foolish refuge, a solemn pessimist and a silly optimist, if this evil existed, then there was in this evil something quite supreme and unique. For I found in my rationalist teachers no explanation of such exceptional corruption. Christianity, theoretically speaking, was in their eyes only one of the ordinary myths and errors of mortals. They gave me no key to this twisted and unnatural badness. Such a paradox of evil rose to the stature of the supernatural. It was, indeed, almost as supernatural as the infallibility of the Pope. An historic institution, which never went right, is really quite as much of a miracle as an institution that cannot go wrong. The only explanation which immediately occurred to my mind was that Christianity did not come from heaven, but from hell. Really, if Jesus of Nazareth was not Christ, he must have been Antichrist. And then, in a quiet hour, a strange thought struck me like a still thunderbolt. There had suddenly come into my mind another explanation. Suppose we heard an unknown man spoken of by many men. Suppose we were puzzled to hear that some men said he was too tall, and some too short. Some objected...
So listen, do you hear what he's saying? So he's saying, he said he read the rationalist, he read the atheist, he's going over and he's just like, dude, this little religion thing, this Jesus stuff is crazy. You guys realize that, right? That's why there is a bunch of craziness. But do you realize Jesus is absolutely insane, you guys? I don't know if, again, I love it. G.K. Chesterton, this is where C.S. Lewis got it from. You realize that, right? This thought that I'm playing you right now, this was the seed that created C.S. Lewis's belief. Because it's true. If you go through the evidence of all of it, you're going to look at this stuff and be like, yo, this is batshit insane. It only has two outcomes. It's either it's legit and it's something, or this is nuts. So think about what he's saying right now. So he's saying, I thought it was crazy. And now he's saying, if you heard of somebody, now listen.
To his fatness, some lamented his leanness. Some thought him too dark, and some too fair. One explanation, as has been already admitted, would be that he might be an odd shape. But there is another explanation. He might be the right shape. Outrageously tall men might feel him to be short. Very short men might feel him to be tall. Old bucks who are growing stout might consider him insufficiently filled out.
Yeah, wait, hold on. So yeah, Trump, give me a second. I love this part, but Trump, I think he's posting all of them. Yeah, bro, Trump in the last, he's posting every single one right now. So hold on, 2 minutes. Prime Minister of Malaysia, they're getting a letter. Kuala Lumpur, Kazakhstan, Pretoria, South Africa, and then Democratic Republic of Vietnam. Is that the Laos? Vietnam. So yeah, those are all coming out right now. Trump just posted back to back to back on Truth Social with the tariffs. Yeah, Vietnam's getting 40%. Remember, we just had that talk the other day on 20. So yeah, you have data coming out right now. I think it's kind of a dump though. Not like the market, but like the algos are gonna have to figure it out. You have to read through these. So like I'm saying, one of them's good, Pretoria, 20, 30%. So they're all different. 25% Kazakhstan, 25% Malaysia, that's good. And then 25 Kuala Lumpur. It could be bad for Nike. VMC's going up, but it just all depends. It's hard to read right now. I can't tell which one's going to be because it's 5 of them, and then Vietnam is bad, and then Vietnam contradicts the data that we got the other day. Because remember, we just got and Vietnam is huge for trade, but then the other ones, so these are all getting, these guys are all getting a tariff, and I think we're going to get 8 more, and this is all bad news. I.e., these are all they're smaller and they're bad, but we haven't gotten the good one or the bigger countries. We did hear EU, so I don't think it'll cause too big of a dump, but look at today. We've already been dumping, and then the last letter, you had a big drop down, so maybe it'll be a little bit less, but that's all coming right now, all within the last couple of seconds here. There's a bunch of them. So it's all on True Social. He posted 5 or 6 letters back to back. So wait till the algos go, but like I'm saying, most of them are bearish, i.e. we're ramping up trade tensions. Market's like, that means these are countries that do not have a deal. But remember, August 1st is the deadline for that, and then we'll see. But EU's positive for now, and then all we want is China, but we'll see. I think 30% on South Africa or 25. 25 on Kazakhstan. Yeah, the algos are all getting them now. So everyone's reacting to that. That's why you're dropping. I'm putting it on the stream alerts. All that matters is China and EU. So again, we're even almost done with today, but I think clearly today is going to be a bad day. Crypto's kind of weird right now. I mean, crypto hasn't really moved out of the range no matter what's happened. So it's actually really hard to say. Yeah, Malaysia's king, 25%, Kazakhstan, Laos, there's a bunch of places. Again, these are all the smaller countries. Just put it this way. It's like you're finding out there's several countries that don't have deals. Trump is going and hitting them, so you're getting escalation essentially, or you're now finding out the reality of not as good of a trade situation. But the only thing that could combat this is 1, you've been dropping all day today, and then 2, these are all really small countries except for Vietnam. Vietnam is the only one that we really care about because its relation to China and circumventing trade already, how they've been doing it. So no problem. All right. So continuing, but let me get back to the Philo as we're dumping. Did you guys get what he just said? So imagine if you have something and a guy and people are like, he's too tall, he's too short, he's too violent, he's too soft, right? And you have these people saying this stuff about him. Imagine back and forth, you're saying this person's that, this person's this. What is yeah, obviously he could be odd, and we've already talked about being odd. Or maybe those people are too short or too tall. Or again, if someone is really big, yeah, that may not look like a lot of food. If you're really skinny, that may look like a lot of food. If you're really short, you may think Josh is really tall. Or if you're really tall, you may think that Kobe Bryant wasn't that tall. You get what he's saying? That's the punchline. It is perspective.
Who were growing thin might feel that he expanded beyond the narrow lines of elegance. Perhaps Swedes, who have pale hair like tow, called him a dark man, while Negroes considered him distinctly blonde. Perhaps, in short, this extraordinary thing is really the ordinary thing, at least the normal thing, the centre. Perhaps, after all, it is Christianity that is sane and all its critics that are mad, in various ways. I tested this idea by asking myself whether there was about any of the accusers anything morbid that might explain the accusation. I was startled to find that this key fitted a lock. For instance, it was certainly odd that the modern world charged Christianity at once with bodily austerity and with artistic pomp. But then it was also odd, very odd, that the modern world itself combined extreme bodily luxury with an extreme absence of artistic pomp. The modern man thought Beckett's robes too rich and his meals too poor. But then the modern man was really exceptional in history. No man before ever ate such elaborate dinners in such ugly clothes. The modern man found the church too simple, exactly where modern life...
He's going to lead this one into a good punchline, but we are now filled the gap, and you're about to break 6,200, and the equal weight is outperforming. This is a broader dump. So related to the trade stuff, it's kind of been all that. I think you were going down without the trade stuff, but that's adding to it. And remember, you have withheld all good news today. So you just keep that in mind.
Life is too complex. He found the church too gorgeous, exactly where modern life is too dingy. The man who disliked the plain fasts and feasts was mad on entrees. The man who disliked vestments wore a pair of preposterous trousers. And surely, if there was any insanity involved in the matter at all, it was in the trousers, not in the simply falling robe. If there was any insanity at all, it was in the extravagant entrees, not in the bread and wine. I went over all the cases, and I found the key fitted so far. The fact that Swinburne was irritated at the unhappiness of Christians, and yet more irritated at their happiness, was easily explained. It was no longer a complication of diseases in Christianity, but a complication of diseases in Swinburne. The restraints of Christians saddened him simply because he was more hedonist than a healthy man should be. The faith of Christians angered him because he was more pessimist than a healthy man should be. In the same way the Malthusians by instinct attacked Christianity, not because there is anything especially anti-Malthusian about Christianity, but because there is something a little anti-human about Malthusianism. Nevertheless, it could not, I felt, be quite true that Christianity was merely sensible and stood in the middle. There was really an element in it of emphasis and even frenzy, which had justified the secularists in their superficial criticism. It might be wise, I began more and more to think that it was wise, but it was not merely worldly wise. It was not merely temperate and respectable. Its fierce crusaders and meek saints might balance each other. Still, the crusaders were very fierce and the saints were very meek. Meek beyond all decency. Now, it was just at this point of the speculation that I remembered my thoughts about the martyr and the suicide. In that matter there had been this combination between two almost insane positions, which yet somehow amounted to sanity. This was just such another contradiction, and this I had already found to be true. This was exactly one of the paradoxes in which
Okay, and then keep an eye out for Mexico. They're starting to drop right now. You're getting a little bounce again. Markets digesting all of the trade shit today. And you're already kind of doing your thing, but I put up Mexico. I started seeing that move, but they're at the low. So that's actually hitting a new low while everything bounces. See if we hear anything. Remember, there was some tensions, but we should have a deal with them. We'll see.
Skeptics found the creed wrong, and in this I had found it right. Madly as Christians might love the martyr or hate the suicide, they never felt these passions more madly than I had felt them long before I dreamed of Christianity. Then the most difficult and interesting part of the mental process opened, and I began to trace this idea darkly through all the enormous thoughts of our theology. The idea was that which I had outlined touching the optimist and the pessimist. Though we want not an amalgam or compromise, but both things at the top of their energy, love and wrath both burning. Here I shall only trace it in relation to ethics. But I need not remind the reader that the idea of this combination is indeed central in Orthodox theology. For Orthodox theology has specially insisted that Christ was not a being apart from God and man, like an elf, nor yet a being half human and half not, like a centaur, but both things at once and both things thoroughly. Very man.
Again, this is important. You're both things at once and both things thoroughly. That's how you have a way where, how can you be both timid and war hungry? How can it be the thing that is both foolish and the thing that is wise? Again, this is what he's going to lead into. How can you love a sinner but hate the sin? So think about what he's saying. But this part is actually very critical. Again, it kind of relates to the contradiction, even living in it. But listen to this one. This is where it gets even.
And very really God. Now let me trace this notion as I found it. All sane men can see that sanity is some kind of equilibrium. That one may be mad and eat too much, or mad and eat too little. Some moderns have indeed appeared with vague versions of progress and evolution, which seeks to destroy the meson or balance of Aristotle. They seem to suggest that we are meant to starve progressively, or to go on eating larger and larger breakfasts every morning forever. But the great truism of the meson remains for all thinking men, and these people have not upset any balance except their own. But granted that we have all to keep a balance, the real interest comes in with the question of how that balance can be kept. That was the problem which paganism tried to solve. That was the problem which I think Christianity solved, and solved in a very strange way. Paganism declared that virtue was in a balance. Christianity declared it was in a conflict, the collision of two passions apparently opposite. Of course, they were not really inconsistent, but they were such that it was hard to hold simultaneously. Let us follow for a moment the clue of the martyr and the suicide, and take the case of courage. No quality has ever so much addled the brains and tangled the definitions of merely...
Okay, so let me ask you this. Does this sound familiar? What is he about to talk about? I love it. Because like I was saying, bro, I was listening to this in the car. I'm listening to this. I love what he's talking about, the contradiction, right? And then do you know what he's about to do? Tell me if this sounds familiar, you guys. Listen to this part. Every single one of you should listen to this. Make no mistake. Look at the market. You ain't going to miss anything in the market, but oil is going crazy. And watch Mexico too.
Rational sages. Courage is almost a contradiction in terms. It means a strong desire to live, taking the form of a readiness to die. He that will lose his life, the same shall save it. Courage is not a piece of mysticism for saints and heroes. It is a piece of everyday advice for sailors or mountaineers. It might be printed in an alpine guide or a drill book. This paradox is the whole principle of courage, even of quite earthly or quite brutal courage. A man cut off by the sea may save his life if he will risk it on the precipice. He can only get away from death by continually stepping within an inch of it. A soldier surrounded by enemies, if he is to cut his way out, needs to combine a strong desire for living with a strange carelessness about dying. He must not merely cling to life, for then he will be a coward and will not escape. He must not merely wait for death, for then he will be a suicide and will not escape. He must seek his life in a spirit of furious indifference to it. He must desire life like water, and yet drink death like wine. No philosopher, I fancy, has ever expressed this romantic riddle with adequate lucidity, and I certainly have not done so. But Christianity has done more. It has marked the limits of it in the awful graves of the suicide and the hero, showing the distance between him who dies for the sake of living and him who dies for the sake of dying. And it has held up ever since above the European lancers the banner of the mystery of chivalry, the Christian courage, which is a disdain of death, not the Chinese courage, which is a disdain of life. And now I began to find that this duplex passion was the Christian key to ethics everywhere. Everywhere the creed made a moderation out of the still crash of two impetuous emotions. Take, for instance, the matter of modesty, of the balance between mere pride and mere prostration. The average pagan, like the average agnostic, would merely say that he was content with himself, but not insolently self-satisfied, that there were many better and many worse, that his deserts were limited, but he would see that he got them. In short, he would walk with his head in the air, but not necessarily with his nose in the air. This is a manly and rational position. but it is open to the objection we noted against the compromise between optimism and pessimism, the resignation of Matthew Arnold. Being a mixture of two things, it is a dilution of two things. Neither is present in its full strength or contributes its full colour. This proper pride does not lift the heart like the tongue of trumpets. You cannot go clad in crimson and gold for this. On the other hand, this mild rationalist modesty does not cleanse the soul with fire and make it clear like crystal. It does not, like a strict and searching humility, make a man as a little child who can sit at the feet of the grass. It does not make him look up and see marvels, for Alice must grow small if she is to be Alice in Wonderland. Thus it loses both the poetry of being proud and the poetry of being humble. Christianity sought by this same strange expedient to save both of them. It separated the two ideas and then exaggerated them both. In one way, man was to be haughtier than he had ever been before. In another way, he was to be humbler than he had ever been before. Insofar as I am man, I am the chief of creatures. Insofar as I am man, I am the chief of sinners. All humility that had meant pessimism, that had meant man taking a vague or mean view of his whole destiny, all that was to go. We were to hear no more.
You guys hear that? You are the chief of creatures, but you are also the chief sinner. Again, this whole duality thing and this competing I love that part, bro. Let me see if I'm going to play it right back one more time if it lets me.
Cleanse the soul with fire and make it clear like crystal. It does not, like a strict and searching humility, make a man as a little child who can sit at the feet of the grass. It does not make him look up and see marvels, for Alice must grow small if she is to be Alice in Wonderland. Thus it loses both the poetry of being proud and the poetry of being humble.
The poetry of proud and humble. Again, like you're saying, why do you think I've been telling, like, think about it. You are expected to be the most haughty and humblest you've ever been at the same time. How? How do you have pure confidence and belief, and then how do you be humble at the same time? Think about it. That's what we're talking about. Everything. The duality and how you must, it's not about one or the other. You're a human. You don't dilute. That's why you're supposed to be you. You don't imitate. You don't dilute. And then oh man, dude, it blew my mind.
Christianity sought by this same strange expedient to save both of them. It separated the two ideas and then exaggerated them both. In one way, man was to be haughtier than he had ever been before. In another way, he was to be humbler than he had ever been before. Insofar as I am man, I am the chief of creatures. Insofar as I am man, I am the chief of sinners.
So you don't think that's crazy? That blew my mind. That right there. My brother, that's what we live in. You are the chief. You are the prime food chain. Yes or no? Are you a human? You are the chief of everything over this earth. You are the god of the earth. At the same time, you are the worst possible thing that has ever set foot on this earth. Remember the whole, we ate the apple, we're evil. And everybody, and some people have trouble believing that. They're like, I'm perfect. Think about it. That's the duality. You are the king of it all. You have done the best and the worst thing at the same time. That's what, oh my goodness. Dude.
All humility
Crazy.
that had meant pessimism, that had meant man taking a vague or mean view of his whole destiny, all that was to go. We were to hear no more the wail of Ecclesiastes that humanity had no preeminence over the brute, or the awful cry of Homer that man was only the saddest of all the beasts of the field. Man was a statue of God walking about the garden. Man had preeminence over all the brutes. Man was only sad because he was not a beast, but a broken god. The Greek had...
Man was not sad because... Man was sad because he was not a beast, but only a broken god. Wow. That's what I do. Think about that. Think about that. So now apply that in the duality. That's why. I think all of us are broken gods, if you really think about it. That's why on earth you are a god. All of you. Think about it. You could do whatever you want. You're chief of every animal. We go and plant, we build, we do all of these things, but then we all fall plague to these like stupid little things. If you think about it, we all have a weakness. That's why. How many of you have looked at your dog and been like, "Damn, I wish I could just lay down all day. That would be nice." But think about it. You're sad because you're not a beast, and you have all the good things, but then you also have the flaws, and it's, oh man, you're a broken god, my friend. Imagine that.
Had spoken of men creeping on the earth as if clinging to it. Now man was to tread on the earth as if to subdue it. Christianity thus held a thought of the dignity of man that could only be expressed in crowns rayed like the sun and fans of peacock plumage. Yet at the same time it could hold a thought about the abject smallness of man that could only be expressed in fasting and fantastic submission, in the grey ashes of St. Dominic and the white snows of St. Bernard. When one came to think of one's self, there was vista and void enough for any amount of bleak abnegation and bitter truth. There the realistic gentleman could let himself go, as long as he let himself go at himself. There was an open playground for the happy pessimist. Let him say anything against himself short of blaspheming the original aim of his being. Let him call himself a fool and even a damned fool, though that is Calvinistic. But he must not say that fools are not worth saving. He must not say that a man, qua man, can be valueless. Here, again in short, Christianity got over the difficulty of combining furious opposites by keeping them both, and keeping them both furious. The church was positive on both points. One can hardly think too...
Keeping furious opposites and keeping them both furious. Oh, dude, that's so deep. That's life. That's a beautiful life. Everybody wants you to have one or, again, dilution, one or the other. Oh, my goodness.
Too little of oneself. One can hardly think too much of one's soul. Take another case, the complicated question of charity, which some highly uncharitable idealists seem to think quite easy. Charity is a paradox. Like modesty and courage. Stated boldly, charity certainly means one of two things: pardoning unpardonable acts, or loving unlovable people. But if we ask ourselves, as we did in the case of pride, what a sensible pagan would feel about such a subject, we shall probably be beginning at the bottom of it. A sensible pagan would say that there were some people one could forgive, and some one couldn't. A slave who stole wine could be laughed at. A slave who betrayed his benefactor could be killed, and cursed even after he was killed. Insofar as the act was pardonable, the man was pardonable. That again is rational, and even refreshing, but it is a dilution. It leaves no place for a pure horror of injustice, such as that which is a great beauty in the innocent. And it leaves no place for a mere tenderness for men as men, such as is the whole fascination of the charitable. Christianity came in here as before. It came in startlingly with a sword, and clove one thing from another. It divided the crime from the criminal. The criminal we must forgive unto 70 times 7. The crime we must not forgive at all. It was not enough that
furious opposites, and keep them furious. You see it? Forgive 70 times. 70. How many times? My brother wrongs me. How many times? 77 times. Is the sin wrong? Yes. It always will be. Furious opposites. Keep them furious.
Slaves who stole wine inspired partly anger and partly kindness. We must be much more angry with theft than before, and yet much kinder to thieves than before. There was room for wrath and love to run wild. And the more I considered Christianity...
Room for wrath and room for love to run wild. Room for wrath and room for love to run... Well, do you get it? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because every time you dilute, if you try to do one or the other, it doesn't work like that. You limit it. That's why I say be yourself. For real. Real love. Let it run furiously. When, again, at the same time, it's like, damn, I don't like the action. I love that, but we always got to forgive the person. But think about what it's not just this topic. This is way bigger than that. But this is a great example. But do you see it? Look all around. What it's saying. Again, the contradiction. The contradiction is what creates some of this craziness. That is the beauty of it. He's going to get to it at the end. I hope he does. I hope it's not the next chapter, but I think he does. I think we got like 20 more minutes.
The more I found that while it had established a rule and order, the chief aim of that order was to give room for good things to run wild.
Woo!
Mental and emotional.
Do you realize that? That's amen. God, the Bible, it has rule and order, and it gives rule and order. But it's a setup so that love can run wild. Like, think about it. It's crazy, bro.
Emotional liberty are not so simple as they look. Really, they require almost as careful a balance of laws and conditions as do social and political liberty. The ordinary aesthetic anarchist who sets out to feel everything freely gets knotted at last in a paradox that prevents him feeling at all. He breaks away from home limits to follow poetry, but in ceasing to feel home limits, he has ceased to feel the Odyssey. He is free from national prejudices and outside patriotism, but being outside patriotism, he is outside Henry V. Such a literary man is simply outside all literature. He is more of a prisoner than any bigot. For if there is a wall between you and the world, it makes little difference whether you describe yourself as locked in or as locked out. What we want is not the universality that is outside all normal sentiments. We want the universality that is inside all normal sentiments. It is all the difference between being free from them, as a man is free from a prison, and being free of them, as a man is free of a city. I am free from Windsor Castle, that is, I am not forcibly detained there, but I am by no means free of that building. How can man be approximately free of fine emotions, able to swing them in a clear space without breakage or wrong? This was the achievement of this Christian paradox of the parallel passions. Granted the primary dogma of the war between divine and diabolic, the revolt and ruin of the world, their optimism and pessimism as pure poetry, could be loosened like cataracts. St. Francis, in praising all good, could be a more shouting optimist than Walt Whitman. St. Jerome, in denouncing all evil, could paint the world blacker than Schopenhauer. Both passions were free because both were kept in their place. The optimist could pour out all the praise he liked on the gay music of the march, the golden trumpets, and the purple banners going into battle, but he must not call the fight needless. The pessimist might draw as darkly as he chose the sickening marches or the sanguine wounds, but he must not call the fight hopeless. So it was with all the other moral problems, with pride, with protest, and with compassion. By defining its main doctrine, the Church not only kept seemingly inconsistent things side by side, but, what was more, allowed them to break out in a sort of artistic violence, otherwise possible only to anarchists. Meekness grew more dramatic than madness. Historic Christianity rose into a high and strange coup de théâtre of morality. Things that are to virtue, what the crimes of Nero are to vice. The spirits of indignation and of charity took terrible and attractive forms, ranging from that monkish fierceness that scourged like a dog the first and greatest of the Plantagenets, to the sublime pity of St. Catherine, who, in the official shambles, kissed the bloody head of the criminal. Poetry could be acted as well as composed. This heroic and monumental manner in ethics has entirely vanished with supernatural religion. They, being humble, could parade themselves, but we are too proud to be prominent. Our ethical teachers write reasonably for prison reform, but we are not likely to see Mr. Cadbury, or any eminent philanthropist, go into Reading jail and embrace the strangled corpse before it is cast into the quicklime. Our ethical teachers write mildly against the power of millionaires, but we are not likely to see Mr. Rockefeller, or any modern tyrant, publicly whipped in Westminster Abbey. Thus, the double charges of the secularists, though throwing nothing but darkness and confusion on themselves, throw a real light on the faith. It is true that the historic church has at once emphasized celibacy and emphasized the family, has at once, if one may put it so, been fiercely for having children and fiercely for not having children. It has kept them side by side like two strong colours, red and white, like the red and white upon the shield of St. George. It has always had a healthy hatred of pink. It hates that combination of two colours, which is the feeble expedient of the philosophers. It hates that evolution of black into white, which is tantamount to a dirty grey. In fact, the whole theory of the church on virginity might be symbolised in the statement that white is a colour, not merely the absence of a colour. All that I am urging here can be expressed by saying that Christianity sought in most of these cases to keep two colours coexistent but pure. It is not a mixture like russet or purple, it is rather like a shot silk. For a shot silk is always at right angles, and is in the pattern of the cross. So it is also, of course, with the contradictory changes of the anti-Christians about submission and slaughter. It is true that the church told some men to fight and others not to fight. And it is true that those who fought were like thunderbolts and those who did not fight were like statues. All this simply means that the church preferred to use its supermen and to use its Tolstoyans. There must be some good in the life of battle, for so many good men have enjoyed being soldiers. There must be some good in the idea of non-resistance, for so many good men seem to enjoy being Quakers. All that the church did, so far as that goes, was to prevent either of these good things from ousting the other. They existed side by side. The Tolstoyans, having all the scruples of monks, simply became monks. The Quakers became a club instead of becoming a sect. Monks said all that Tolstoy says. They poured out lucid lamentations about the cruelty of battles and the vanity of revenge. But the Tolstoyans are not quite right enough to run the whole world. And in the ages of faith, they were not allowed to run it. The world did not lose the last charge of Sir James Douglas, or the banner of Joan the Maid. And sometimes this pure gentleness and this pure fierceness met and justified their juncture. The paradox of all the prophets was fulfilled, and, in the soul of St. Louis, the lion lay down with the lamb. But remember that this text is too lightly interpreted. It is constantly assured, especially in our Tolstoyan tendencies, that when the lion lies down with the lion becomes lamb-like. But that is brutal annexation and imperialism on the part of the lamb. That is simply the lamb absorbing the lion.
So again, don't let all the words, I know there's a lie, it got a little bit crazy. He just started spitting. I wanted to pause it a couple of times, but he kept bringing up some points. But I hope you're getting the concept. The parallel opposites, the parallel contradictions, the furious separation and the purity. Again, we're not combining colors to make another color, but making sure they are separate colors in all of their purity. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Are you guys getting it? So again, he's ending it now with the Bible verse. The sheep lays down with the lion. And he's saying, think about that. It's a paradox. That's a contradiction. Why? Listen.
Instead of the lion eating the lamb. The real problem is, can the lion lie down with the lamb and still retain his royal ferocity? That is the problem the church attempted. That is the miracle she achieved. This is what I have called guessing the hidden eccentricities of life. This is knowing that a man's heart is to the left and not in the middle. This is knowing not only that the earth is round, but knowing exactly where it is flat. Christian doctrine detected the oddities of life.
You see it? You see it? That's another one for you in modern times. How many people argue about a flat earth? How about knowing where it's flat and knowing that it's round? How about a furious contradiction at the same time? How about parallel opposites in fury? Oh my goodness.
It not only discovered the law, but it foresaw the exceptions.
That right there. Think about that right there. That's his conclusion. It was so contradicting. It foretold the law and the contradictions of the law and what was going to happen. Think about that.
Those underrate Christianity who say that it discovered mercy. Anyone might discover mercy. In fact, everyone did. But to discover a plan for being merciful and also severe, that was to anticipate a strange need of human nature. For no one wants to be forgiven for a big sin as if it were a little one. Anyone might say that we should be neither quite miserable nor quite happy, but to find out how far one may be quite miserable without making it impossible to be quite happy. That was a discovery in psychology. Anyone might say, neither swagger nor grovel, and it would have been a limit. But to say, here you can swagger and there you can grovel, that was an emancipation. This was the big fact about Christian ethics, the discovery of the new balance. Paganism had been like a pillar of marble, upright because proportioned with symmetry. Christianity was like a huge and ragged and romantic rock, which, though it sways on its pedestal at a touch, yet, because its exaggerated excrescences exactly balance each other, is enthroned there for 1,000 years. In a Gothic cathedral the columns were all different, but they were all necessary. Every support seemed an accidental and fantastic support. Every buttress was a flying buttress. So in Christendom apparent accidents balanced. Becket wore a hair shirt under his gold and crimson, and there is much to be said for the combination. For Becket got the benefit of the hair shirt, while the people in the street got the benefit of the crimson and gold. It is at least better than the manner of the modern millionaire, who has the black and the drab outwardly for others, and the gold next his heart. But the balance was not always in one man's body as in Becket's. The balance was often distributed over the whole body of Christendom. Because a man prayed and fasted on the northern snows, flowers could be flung at his festival in the southern cities. And because fanatics drank water on the sands of Syria, men could still drink cider in the orchards of England. This is what makes Christendom at once so much more perplexing, and so much more interesting than the pagan empire. Just as Amiens Cathedral is not better, but more interesting than the Parthenon. If anyone wants a modern proof of all this, let him consider the curious fact that, under Christianity, Europe, while remaining a unity, has broken up into individual nations. Patriotism is a perfect example of this deliberate balancing of one emphasis against another emphasis. The instinct of the pagan empire would have said, "You shall all be Roman citizens and grow alike." Let the German grow less slow and reverent, the Frenchman less experimental and swift. But the instinct of Christian Europe says, let the German remain slow and reverent, that the Frenchman may the more safely be swift and experimental. We will make an equipoise out of these excesses. The absurdity called Germany shall correct the insanity called France. Last and most important, it is exactly this which explains what is so inexplicable to all the modern critics of the history of Christianity. I mean the monstrous wars about small points of theology, the earthquakes of emotion about a gesture or a word. It was only a matter of an inch, but an inch is everything when you are balancing. The church could not afford to swerve a hair's breadth on some things if she was to continue her great and daring experiment of the irregular equilibrium. Once let one idea become less powerful, and some other idea would become too powerful. It was no flock of sheep the Christian shepherd was leading, but a herd of bulls and tigers, of terrible ideals and devouring doctrines, each one of them strong enough to turn to a false religion and lay waste the world. Remember that the church went in specifically for dangerous ideas. She was a lion tamer. The idea of birth through a Holy Spirit, of the death of a divine being, of the forgiveness of sins, or the fulfillment of prophecies, are ideas which, anyone can see, need but a touch to turn them into something blasphemous or ferocious. The smallest link was let drop by the artificers of the Mediterranean, and the lion of ancestral pessimism burst his chain in the forgotten forests of the north. Of these theological equalizations I have to speak afterwards. Here it is enough to notice that if some small mistake were made in doctrine, Huge
BAH,
blunders
small
might
pop.
be made in human happiness. A sentence phrased wrong about the nature of symbolism would have broken all the best statues in Europe. A slip in the definitions might stop all the dancers, might wither all the Christmas trees or break all the Easter eggs. Doctrines had to be defined within strict limits, even in order that man might enjoy general human liberties. The church had to be careful, if only that the world might be careless. This is the thrilling romance of orthodoxy. People have fallen into a foolish habit of speaking of orthodoxy as something heavy, humdrum, and safe. There never was anything so perilous or so exciting as orthodoxy. It was sanity, and to be sane is more dramatic than to be mad. It was the equilibrium of a man behind madly rushing horses, seeming to stoop this way and to sway that, yet in every attitude having the grace of statuary and the accuracy of arithmetic. The church in its early days went fierce and fast with any warhorse, yet it is utterly unhistoric to say that she merely went mad along one idea, like a vulgar fanaticism. She swerved to the left and right, so exactly as to avoid enormous obstacles. She left on one hand the huge bulk of Arianism, buttressed by all the worldly powers to make Christianity too worldly. The next instant she was swerving to avoid an Orientalism, which would have made it too unworldly. The Orthodox Church never took the tame course or accepted the conventions. The Orthodox Church was never respectable. It would have been easier to have accepted the earthly power of the Arians. It would have been easy, in the Calvinistic 17th century, to fall into the bottomless pit of predestination. It is easy to be a madman. It is easy to be a heretic. It is always easy to let the age have its head. The difficult thing is to keep one's own. It is always easy to be a modernist, as it is easy to be a snob. To have fallen into any of those open traps of error and exaggeration, which fashion after fashion and sect after sect set along the historic path of Christendom. That would indeed have been simple. It is always simple to fall. There are an infinity of angles at which one falls, only one at which one stands. To have fallen into any one of the fads from Gnosticism to Christian Science would indeed have been obvious and tame, but to have avoided them all has been one whirling adventure. And in my vision the heavenly chariot flies thundering through the ages, the dull heresies sprawling and prostrate, the wild truth reeling but erect.
So listen, I know the last part, this is why. This is when we went over GK. He's a little intense, Old English, all of that, but I think you guys are getting the point. And I hope you do. About the contradictions and all of that. That's, like I said, I wanted you to hear it because I think it brings up a really good point. And here's the shame. The shame and the sad part is that the Old English, the Jesus, all of that is going to make some of you miss the thing that you should be getting out of it. I know, isn't that why? But then again, this is how the truth gets concealed right in front of people. You may not like the present because the gift wrapping. Do you not realize how crazy that is? That's what I'm saying. I needed you. You might have to re-listen to it, but he's talking about this irregular imbalance or this irregular balance that we have. You guys haven't and this is something I think is most important. Ironically enough, I think we need it for stocks. You don't think the stock market you need an irregular imbalance? Okay. Fair enough then. All right. So you mean to tell me good news, bad news, good news. Okay. Oh, you know what? My bad, you guys. My bad for not talking about stocks. My bad. Let me go. Y'all don't get it, huh? Look at what you do every day. And that didn't blow your mind? That's what I'm saying. If you let the words... Oh, some of you missed it, bro. And maybe you should go back and listen. And some of you, even if you enjoyed it, go back and listen. But if you're here right now, bro, listen. You need to start separating and be furious in your separation. Do you get what that means? It doesn't mean a bad thing. It doesn't mean exclusion. This means you need to, again, lock into the good things. Lock in to what you have. You don't need to be what you're not. Again, you're going to be angry and happy at times. You realize that, right? You're going to have moments where you're going to do everything correct and where you're going to make mistakes. Oh, I hope you're feeling me, Chad. How do you handle this balance? The doctrine I believe in is built on this contradiction, a furious contradiction and imbalance. That's what he's talking about. And then at that end there, where he went crazy, I don't know if you guys got it. That's why he's saying it's kind of weird. You don't think that all these little things that people, again, the way it contradicts back and forth, or did it swerve perfectly to the left, perfectly to the right? It didn't cross over the realms. Again, bro, Jesus, one or two more words, Jesus would have been an alien, literally. Couple more words, it would have been another Greek god. It would have been, how come it has this, oh my goodness. And guess what? I think some of you will realize you're going to find something like this in Success. Oh, I hope they hear me. Again, do you not realize it? He's saying the thing, bro. Let me put it this way. It's easy to conform. It's easy. There's 1,000 ways to fall. There's 1,000 ways to conform. There's only one angle for straight up. Do you get it? Oh, man. So, Chad, I love this one. You might have to go back and listen. But to start off this week, man, I want you to think about this furious. I mean, again, are you feeding this? Are you? This is the problem. How many of you are trying to dilute and blend colors rather than separate them and go 100% at what you're handling at that moment? Think about it. So, I don't know, man. I love this one. But like I said, this one was different. I wanted to tell you some of them and all of it. And like I said, I stopped at some of the parts, and I told you guys here, I wrote them down. I think it's very interesting. Again, the duality, this irregular imbalance, bro. How are you literally the top of the food chain, and people will say that you're just a complicated houseplant? You don't think that's weird? But that's highlighting everything I'm talking about. Everything in life. That's why, like, bro, the contradiction. But the furiousness of it in being wildly contradicting. Again, how can you be both merciful and, like, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Not authoritarian, but it's like, again, a vicious in peace. How can you be both forgiving and against something? Do you not hear this? If you take what I'm saying lightly or this message, bro, this is the complexity required to move in this. You see what I'm saying? And again, the beauty is I think you could apply this everywhere in your life. And the irony of the stock market is if any industry related to this message, I think it would be the stock market. Because, again, you have a lot of many opposites. I mean, how many of people both genuinely and, not genuinely, making money off war, making money off conflict. Again, how many of you have been baffled that Jesus Boy owns Altria? Yeah, again, Jesus Boy cusses. There's a lot going on, bro. And again, I'm not arguing to say I am right or wrong. I would probably lean towards wrong because I'm a human. You know what I'm saying? But do you see what there's going to be you got to live in furious contradiction. Not live in it, but know how to handle both of them. My brother, you could have one area one way. It doesn't change what's going on. You think about it. You all have your own walkway with God, and whether I do something or not, you still have your walkway. But then I still have to handle my walkway. Then you got again, there's a lot. The more you become comfortable with this, I think you will advance spiritually and financially, sadly. I say sadly because I don't want this to be prosperity. I don't want this to be about that. But that's just the reality. Remember, I was just telling you guys the other day and that's why I say give glory to God first and stop trying to worship man when you should be worshiping God. It tells you this, then this is going to happen. It tells you what's going to happen. That's the whole thing. So you know. But man, that's why I'm like, bro, this is a life thing. As much as that's why it blew my mind when I heard this. This is your life. Being able to handle. Those of you who fail to handle this balance, I believe you will have less quality of life. I genuinely believe that. I don't even care what you believe religiously. I mean that every time you have to deal with a furious imbalance, some of you are failing and you are letting it. Instead of dealing with separate paths, how many of you are combining them constantly? Why? Why? Can I give you a fucked up example? I'm smiling because you should know it. It's fucked up. Long-term and options at the same time. I think you could do both of them at the same time, but they should not be in the same account. You don't think that's funny? Again, how many of you have asked me if I'm so much about long-term, why do I do options? Oh, man, they don't feel me, dog. Do you see it? You're living this every day. It's in front of you. How many of you are letting this be a roadblock rather than carving out your own paths now with it? Do you see what I'm telling you? Stop trying to blend the colors. Stop trying to blend all the things. It just contradicts. You have to learn there's going to be separate paths at the same time. My brother, I worship God. I believe in certain things and I'm working. I still own Altria at the bottom. Do you get what I think options is gambling. It is. It truly is. I really believe that. I know everything about it, and I know it's gambling. And I will still do it, but then again, you see how I do it, and I have it separate. They are two separate things. Again, it's baffling. You could be a miser, and you could be frugal. You could be wasteful, and you could be saving. You know how much I see that? Do you see what I'm telling you? You don't think this is going to be critical in your life? I think this will make or break your life, how you handle this. And we don't get taught it at all. And how many of us will, you know how many years, every time I come back to you, Chad, and I tell you that I learned something and I grew, it was because I was blending pathways. Oh, I'm a Chad. How many times? Every time, I love it. That's why I love this online thing. That's why I love being able to document it, and I love all of you who are really locked in. That's why the fake ones, bro, or y'all not getting the full image of it. But at the end of the day, do you see? Every time I come back to you, and I'm like, Chad, I learned this now. Oh, Chad, I figured this. Oh, I get it now. That's what happened. What happened was I kept blending the pathways. I kept blending two things that should have been furiously separated. And again, these things also call to you into what you need to improve upon. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I did everything right. Fuck that. I'm saying, though, at times it's like, I tried to blend things. I should have separated them. And you should know that is wrong. Again, I'm going to remind you, gambling is wrong. You have to be able to say that I don't like that. I don't like that. But you have to separate it from you, the person, or even you guys. I think gambling is an action. I think you are a person. Do you see? I don't like the gambling. I think gambling will stop all of you from future. Gambling is going to ruin a lot of things. Do I believe that you have no future and you're going nowhere? No, that's a lie. The devil is a lie. You see what I'm saying? So this is what, oh man, I love, dude, this blew my mind, bro. I'm driving my fucking RV and I'm thinking about this and I'm tripping. But this is beautiful. But this is the answer, because I'm telling you, anytime, and I've seen it in other people, but I could just speak of my own experience. Anytime I try to blend them, try and dilute myself, dilute the principle, dilute the belief, because I tried to blend instead of keeping it as it is on a straight and separate path. That's it, bro. And do you not see it? God, come on. I love it. Bro, everything I do is speaking to this. That's why I love it. Dude, what do you mean you talk about stocks? You talk Jesus stocks. Exactly. I hope this contradicts. I hope this is baffling. You know why? Because look at it. That's exactly what we just heard. Bro, it's so easy to conform. You guys could conform 1,000 ways. You don't even realize it. You think conforming is just copying the outfit? You think conforming is just copying the lingo? You could fall 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different angles. You could only stand up one way. That's what he's saying. You don't think it's, how come Jesus isn't sci-fi? How come he's not an alien? How come it didn't end up being Confucianism? It swerved exactly to the left, exactly to the right, and now we're here. Dude, that is a trip. That is a trip. But I hope you see it. Oh, dude. I love it. Like, man, I don't know what to tell. There's a lot you could take out of this. But above all else, man, I hope you're ready to handle more. Again, get ready for even disappointment, but get ready for all of it. But I hope you're going to be ready to keep separate paths separate. And don't ever dilute. You see what I'm saying? The love in you, don't ever dilute it. The things, honestly, the things that you know and that you need to keep, there's going to be bad things in you. It doesn't mean you are a bad person. You need to learn to start investing in the good. You see what I'm saying? It's all, dude, I'm telling you. From your personal to your business to all of it. But that's why I'm saying, man, with everything that you could do, bro, it's so much easier to conform. It's so much easier to walk the way of the world and all of that. So good luck. You see? It's so much easier to say, no, give me a one way or the, no, let's just put them all together. All roads lead there. Let's do it. Easier. It's easier. It doesn't require complexity. It doesn't require a furiousness and balance. But again, it doesn't give the same fulfillment. I know it. That's why the people, again, most of us are just pissed off. We're broken gods. And we get bothered by seeing people trying to live up to what they got. So what are we saying? So yeah, man. The irregular balance, dude. There is a balance, but it's so odd. And it's so irregular. Are you able to embrace that? That's what I'm asking you. That's how we're starting off the week. I hope you finish your year. Look at this year. Look at Donald Trump. Look at everything that's gone on. Tell me it hasn't been an irregular balance. Right? This has been one of the hardest years. It feels kind of like we've just been doing it like we always, irregular, but there's a balance. Come on. This is what are you ready for it or not? And my question would be, why would you let this hold you back? There is going to be multiple. There's going to be multiple things and multiple pathways. I hope you give them the purity and the separation they deserve, and I hope you don't dilute them. Oh, and Chad, just let me remind you too, the broken God thing, that one made me laugh. And Boeing's going nuts now. Nice. All right, Ripper. See, the funny part is we already have a play on there. They're actually down. They're no, they're gonna go up right now. They're break even. It says that it's just the spread. But yeah, that's popping now. I don't see a headline. S&P warns Trump era tax law could strain state and hospital balance sheets. But yeah, man, that was a long one. But I'll leave it there, man. And I'm excited. Like I'm saying, bro, Chad, I think a lot of you are going to change the world, but you're not going to do it falling, okay? Can I tell, listen to me right now, bro. You're not going to do it falling. If you think you're going to change the world conforming, my brother, that's not how it happened. That's what I'm saying. All of what you have here is challenged and changed the world in so many ways, but it was perfect. Do you understand that? Just enough to the left and right, and it foresaw and all of it, but do you see what I'm saying? It's not going to be through falling. You're not going to change the world through falling. You're not going to change the world through conforming. I think you're going to find the path, and you'll see, but stick to it. So, Chad, God bless all of you, baby. God bless all of you, and may you dream big and don't ever put a limit on yourself. But start off your week good, and I hope you're ready to live in the balance. And I hope you realize why you're blessed. I hope this Philo makes you realize why you're special. You know that. I don't know what you have done, my brother. This is what I believe in my God. But again, the man is always worth saving. I may disagree with the behavior, and I can disagree. And I'll tell you, bro, that's not it, bro. But the man is always worth saving. Do you understand it now? I hope you do, brother. A true and sister, all of y'all, baby. So take that one to the bank. That is your philosophy, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We're live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. Drop your thumbs up on the video. You're on mobile. Press hot chat. X out the chat. Hit the thumbs up button. Second link, baby. Nightly, or it's on this channel now. I don't know. Long term. It's a cult, baby. Long term, short term, welcome to the war. Love with the game, I just want a little more.
Haters ain't new, I just got a little bored. Stepping in the pace, I be speaking with the store. Tell me what's the store, China on the store. Ready on the land, know you heard this shit before. It was 2018, making viddies in the car. Now everybody got a long turn, looking for some more. Big bank, I'ma pull up in the Civic. Rollie is a numerals, the Casio and digits. If you never make a move, then you'll never have a critic. Why you think I got these grown men acting like some bitches? $100 move, 10-cent finish. Tell me not to mock it, but you don't know your limit. Both of us could lose, but one of us is winning. All of us alive, so tell me how you living. Blessed. I already know it though, don't care about your whip. I got a crib in my portfolio. You should be yourself, stop back at cornholio. Fluid in the well, but the pocket's so colloquial. Crypto in the wallet, but we bought it 10 years ago. Put it in the videos, put it in the lyrics, bro. Funny how it's cynical, fuck, still didn't hear it though. Forgive me for the language, I'm still working on the spiritual. Mr. Professional, talk about the revenue. Hard to ride the wave when you riding on my genitals. Talking about my plays, but they hit like an edible. I'm used to little humans telling me what's not attainable. That's some whole shit, trying to tightrope shit. Friend and the enemy, you think we don't know this? Funny how my foes never had the same focus. Forgive them for their sins, I ain't talking about the smoke. I'm back to the mission, lot of holding, lot of sitting. Act like you can't change your mind before you go and make decisions. You don't even need precision, cause you at it while you stack it, while you average your way in it. Who the villain? Money tree, you gonna kill it, cause you keep on fucking with it. Trying to learn the art of chilling. It don't matter your religion, what you have or what you didn't. Cause the future you gon' ask the current you, but why you didn't? Sick with it, boy, I'm talking big business. I don't need no 3 wishes, just a G-O-D vision. I be C-O-D with it. Cindy, I keep flipping. No, I'm all about a dollar, but I'm all about a mission. Who we kidding? God is always in it. Ain't no way to spin it. If it's yours, you're gonna get it. You could build it in a year, but you could lose it in a second. You could use the tongue for life, or you could use it as a weapon. I already know it, don't care about your whip. I got a crib on my portfolio.
Yeah, we like this one. Aye. Got blast like Nancy, tips like Ramsey. Wish a motherfucker wouldn't, you could call me Kathy, Ashley. All these bars I feel like Johnson Matty. Damn me, then you'll buy it later with a taffy. I ain't worried about a dip, I'm never selling. I ain't worried about a bitch unless it's yelling. Why you chicken and you talking like you did it? You was bitching, I was shopping while it's dipping. Hope you know not everybody make a lie. They some shit, but they don't make it worse.
That's why Boeing went up.
Think it's cheap, but they don't know what price implying. Think it's like, but they don't ever mention timing. Bitch, I slept down. I ain't no
I got
ready.
a Boeing
Got a lot of
EU
crib, but I
headline.
don't got a lot of payment.
So they're saying European Union are considering a potential agreement to offset U.S. car exports with corresponding imports in an effort to balance automotive between the two sides. Exemptions for key exports including aircraft and spirits. So you're getting weird EU shit. Yeah, Circle's going crazy. But yeah, you're getting some weird shit. That's why I think Boeing was moving around on that. Something about an exemption there. And then remember, Caroline said something about EU, but we haven't had the follow-up yet. So we will see.
Lot of wishes making shit look like inaugurations. Motherfucking selfish how I list my occupation. Yeah, I thought this stupid shit was working. Lot of shit was moving, I ain't nervous. Bruh, it was like me before I learned it. Taught about investing with a Birkin. Why? Cray like Kramer, coins like Sailor. Take you to the gym, I could probably be a trainer. Waiter, let me buy a drink for all the haters. Made that shit a double if they asked me for a favor. I don't want no trouble, so I gave it to the savior. Money out these bubbles like I was a toy maker. Word was always firm, but I never paid later. Young enough to learn, but that long-term aging. Face it, y'all could probably do a little maintenance. Those are the requirements before the bank takes it. Hope this shit inspiring, the only way to explain it. Little bad environment and more about what you thinking. Thought I told you that we keep it peaceful, chill. I don't really like you cause you evil, ill. Made it off the ether, not the Sheba, real. Got a lot of stuff that I can teach you, still.
I just wanted to hear that one. That's it, baby. We're back. Well, where's my... Give me... There you go. Amen. Amen. Yeah, so you just got EU. That's why I think the airlines moved, but I think you're going to get more headlines after hours. But that long-term agent, face it. I love it. Woo! But yeah, man, welcome back. I hope you had a good Monday. Good holiday. I feel like we've been off for a week. But yeah, man, now we're chilling. It's been a slow day, but straight down. It's actually kind of big, over 1% on almost every index, but the SPY, it's like flirting with it. But equal weight, Russell, they got washed a little bit. It's still crazy, 1% down, and you're still at 6,200, 6,218. But other than that, man, we're done with that part, and we keep going. That's it. Now, if you have any off topics or any other questions, maybe we also get some what's it called, some real estate. But other than that, you let me know. I need to check this. Your boss wants to sell his house, but he has renters. You could sell a home? Yeah. So you have to deal with the tenants, but yeah, you could also inform them and let them know when their lease is up. But yeah, you could sell a house with renters. Some people like buying houses with renters. Some people don't like it if they're problem tenants, but like I'm saying, I like tenants. If it's like a cheaper property that I'm going to plan to rent out and buy as an investment, it's great to buy it with good renters. So that's always a good thing. Damn, Spotify, again, Circle, I got that in the bottom right. And then Rigetti, wasn't that going crazy in the morning? I guess it's all day. Or no, that was IONQ, I think. The Velvet Sundown? No, what's that? The inspection went good. I mean, nothing unusual. I got to see a lot more of the house. The well took a little bit, but everything's chill. We're just, we're having problem with the splitting of the land. So that's why, like, we have to do this appraisal shit. We have to do multiple, and that's why we're waiting on that. But other than that, I like it. I mean, it's gonna need money. The property needs a lot of work. I still think it has value as is. There's really good comps, but I also think to get it to the vision, it's gonna take money, even without it. But like, even just as is, to bring it up, that's where the value at is. Like, that's why I like the inspection. There's nothing major, nothing structural. Even the AC units are chill. They're, that's what's good. The plumbing, I had one area with plumbing, because they added some shit to the house. There was, the one part up to code. I forgot about that one. Yeah, there's one part. Wait, what? Hold on. Hold on. LT is crazy. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I gotta call this fool. Hold up. I didn't look at my phone. I didn't look down at my phone, bro. And he's like, well, we might actually close on Friday. I thought I had 10. So I'm like, wait. I'm like, if I'm going to close on Friday, I have to sell this shit right now. So hold on, bro. Let me call this fool. I got 30 more minutes. Let me ask friend. Am I on? I think I'm on. Restricted. I think. Hold on. I think I was calling. Did I put it on restricted when I called China? The farmers market? Bro, we're gonna be in SoCal. You don't realize. I'm telling you, we're near all major airports. So that's why I'm excited. I don't think y'all realize how dope this is gonna be. God willing, but at just pure real estate location value, I'm a big fan. You know what I'm saying, bro? I'm a big fan. Hold on. I need to... Well, let me see. I might actually have to do some things. He should have told you 20K ago. Nah, that's fine. I'm glad he didn't tell me 20K ago. But no, because I'm waiting on a final, number. Because if the appraisal comes in weird, I'll need more. And then if it comes in how I think, I won't need more. Hims is popping. Oh, we're live now. I'm gonna mute it, but in a little bit. But before I mute, do I need to sell?
I mean, you're gonna have, if you want this house.
I do, yeah. But like, I know eventually. I'm saying, but what do you mean? I said I'm waiting on a final number, and then I look down, and then it says closing Friday. What do you? I thought there was a 10-day delay now. I thought. What's up?
It is 10 days. 10 days from last Friday. We're closing Friday.
Oh, you're post-dating it from last Friday. Well, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Well, there's two options. I mean, at the end of the day, we got to figure out the best option for you and your family here that's live on the YouTube channel.
Well, are you going to get, you told me I'm going to get a final loan number today. I know we were waiting on the appraisal, which will be done, but do you have that? You're live. Well, here, let me, before you, well, hold on, please hold. Yeah, I know he's gonna give out everything.
At a 13-point in vehicle deliveries and is facing what could be the second straight year of vehicle declines with Tesla. So this should have been a moment where Elon Musk said, I'm leaving politics, gracefully stepped down, focused our attention on the robo-taxis, focused voters' attention and customers' attention on what the Tesla cars could do. And instead, he's back in the malaise, back in the muck, talking politics, and it's not going to be able to fund these bigger bets, the bets on robo-taxis if he can't sell cars today.
There are always people, though, who are going to, Steve, believe in the dream. Right. And that keeps people engaged in the stock and everything else around brands Musk. I say brands for all the reasons that I mentioned, whatever he has in X and AI, and then Starlink and SpaceX.
Yeah, and I would go back to the last earnings call, Scott. That was before he technically left Doge and the government altogether, and he talked about joining Tesla a little bit more at a full-time basis. And then shortly after that, he was there full-time. And boy, that was a great reaction. And he was talking about all those things. And that earnings call was just all the greatest hits of Elon Musk. You know, just this, what is it called, the abundance issue, and talking about how this is going to provide sustainable abundance with these robots helping around the houses and building stuff in factories and so forth. And then, of course, the robo-taxi thing, kind of applying these software margins to the vehicle business, not having to spend enormous amounts of money per vehicle like Waymo does. They just use the same vehicles. They're rolling off the line and delivering to customers anyway. When he talks about that kind of stuff and the believers get excited, and it trades like a meme stock. This whole stock trades on the whims and behavior of Elon Musk more so than the fundamentals of how many cars they're selling or what's going on politically. And we saw that when he talks about all the futuristic stuff. He gets rewarded financially, investors get rewarded, and when he gets distracted with things like this, we see it in the stock today. It's down nearly 7%.
You have a last quick thought?
Look, I'm not writing off Elon. He is really smart. He has faced death or sort of the end of his companies before, and he's managed to pull it out. It's almost like he wants to be put against the wall so he can fight his way back from it. But I would say this is the biggest challenge of his career, right? He's got the political side of things, and that's not just the challenge from the president looking at his businesses, but also the voters. And voters are customers at the end of the day. And if you see Elon as someone who doesn't like the Democrats, doesn't like the Republicans, is fighting against the Democratic establishment, is fighting against Trump, ultimately, a car says more about you than almost any purchase that you're going to make. And I think he's tied that car to his political views, which are very unpopular in the country right now. So again, Elon might find his way out of here, but it's not going to be easy.
Interesting thoughts from Kovac and Kantrowitz. Steve and Alex, thank you once again. We'll see you soon. Up next, Allianz's Mohamed El-Arian's back with us. He'll give us his forecast for your money in the second half. We're back on the bell after this.
CNBC+.
We're back. Today's tariff news. Yet another reminder of the challenges that could still cause volatility for stocks in the second half of the year. We're joined now by Mohamed El-Erian, Allianz Chief Economic Advisor. Welcome back. It's always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Should we be optimistic or cautious or what for as we make the turn here to the back nine of 2025?
So look, Scott, we've had these uncertainties all year long. Tariffs, inflation, you name it, we've had it. But we've had three drivers.
All right, dude, I got crazy news. I got crazy news. Man, he just dropped a bomb on me. A good one. Are you ready? So here's another option LT just pulled out of his ass for me. Are you ready? I could close on this shit in 3 days or tomorrow. I could close tomorrow if you guys want. But it would require the whole entire long term. That's the only problem. And then I have to pay the closing cost out of my own pocket. So he found a whole different loan, and it's already ready to go. He said they just want a little bit more down, and that's it. But then the other one, I have to wait for the appraisal. So right now, and that's going to take just the full duration that we've already been on. But here's the other deal. Are you ready? I now might have to sell some stuff. So pretty much it looks like tomorrow, because they're going to give me the number tomorrow, and we're pretty much closing on this by Friday. So yeah, I got to start selling shit. So he said I could do some now, I don't know the breakdown, but what I am going to do is we are going to start with all of the losers. So I'm going to sell every losing stock in the long term on the big account. So what we are going to do is sell every single loss. So some of them are losses that were just, they're right there. But why I'm going to do that, because I want you to, let me see that it doesn't show my personal info. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, this is from the covered call. You guys remember I closed the Uber? That's the covered call loss. So take notes of this. Yeah, I want you guys to see how this works. Remember everything I told you? So you're going to watch the total loss skyrocket, because I'm going to take all my losses right now. And then so even if I wait for appraisal, I'm going to need this money. This money has to hit the bank by Friday. You see what I'm saying? So I need to sell it. It needs to settle. This is something you guys need to learn too. That's why I'm showing you this, because literally, yeah, you're going to have to get this money to escrow. We're going to sell it, get it to cash, and then we are going to wire it to escrow. You see what I'm saying? So it usually takes 3 days, but I'm pretty sure it's 24-hour settlement now. It should be. And then wire is going to take, you pay $30, a wire will get there same day. So we're not going to need to send the money out, but I need the money in the account settled. So why the losers? Just because it'll be easier and you could see it, because I don't know what I'm going to need, right? So again, if I want to do one of the options, I will have to sell the whole account, which sucks. Why? Why would it suck if I have to sell the whole account? There's one thing that would suck about it if I had to do it. Do you know what it would be? It would be because I wouldn't get any tax gains. So I would actually be taking a fucking gain, which would be terrible. Yeah, I don't want to gain, bro. Yeah, I was hoping I could leave it there. So that would suck. So other than that, that's why I'm going to start with the losers, because my worst case option, I will sell it all. But best case option, I get to keep the gains essentially. And then I'm going to use all the losers, see what we're down on, and then we'll sell whatever we need to zero it out and then go from there. So, yeah, we're going to sell the losers first. Let's start with Snapchat. First in, first out, baby. All right, long term, sell. How many shares do I have? 669. Oh, sell all. Should I play the music while I do it? No, but then I'll have to take the video out because of copyright. All right. Place order. Snapchat has been sold, I think. Let's verify. Did it go in? I don't know if it did. Let's see the tax. you see how my tax loss went to 9,000. So again, this is what I'm trying to show you guys live. That's why I'm showing it to you. I didn't do anything. I lost on that shit a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But this time, look at that loss from years and years ago. I just took it. So now it went from 3K to 9K. So watch. You see what I'm saying? All right. Who do we got next? Current value. Wait, no. Let me go to the loss. Okay. Big commerce. Nice. All right. Well, it was a fun time, brother. Shares. Sell all 23 shares. All right. Let's see how much cash we get at the end of this. All right. Big commerce is gone. Oh, Beyond Meat. I'm sorry, Bill Gates. It's been a long day without you, my friend. So these are great, though. Look. Because watch. After Big Commerce, Snapchat, and that one, look at the loss. I'm up at 30. This is good. This is free. Again, this may baffle people's minds. You're like, why is that good? Because we made money. So when I sell the other ones, it's going to lower the loss and get us back up, man. So, yeah. I got the cash yet? You know, it's going to take a minute. Oh, Walgreens. So this one sucks. No, I can't leave. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. I thought about it, but we're going to sell. We're not going to hold it for the shares. So if you end up holding this, you're going to get like an extra $2 a share, which sucks. So if you don't have to sell this and you're patient, you could wait on this one and call it a day. But unfortunately, that you have received, yeah, see the customer, which includes, yeah, place order. Thank you. All right, Walgreens gone. Oh, Warner Bros. Well, this is just free shares. Thanks, buddy. Okay. It's gone. Humana. Fuck the healthcare in America. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, guys. Okay, he's gone. Oh, Intel. I'm sorry, buddy. You should have made me CEO. All right, Intel. Have a good day. Goodbye. Bye, Intel. Oh, Pfizer. Oh, I never got it anyways. You know what I was saying? Actually, it was a terrible, terrible thing of what they did to people. So I do this one with pride. All right. Oh, yeah. See, furious contradictions. I know. Oh, Airbnb. Oh, shit. I am so emotionalist. Give me a fucking house. I don't give a fuck. Come on. Yalla. Gone. Airbnb. Should have been a gainer. Next. Y'all think come on. Y'all sad? What do you mean? I'm buying a fucking farm. We're getting a cult compound, Chad. All right. I think all of the losers have been sold, sadly. I thought there was more. Fuck me, man. I wish there was more losses on there. But yeah, I think, oh no, do I got more? Wait, I thought I sold this shit. All right, yeah, hold on. Why are these little scragglers? I thought I sold this. I don't think I hit place order. Oh, MP Dubs. Peace, bro. You guys should have stepped it up. You would have been last to get sold. You see what I'm saying? You would have been last. Give me my losses. Oh, place order. Okay. I already sold Airbnb, no? Alright, let me give it a refresh. Maybe I didn't place the order on Airbnb? Oh, I thought I did. That's why why is it still here? Nope, he's still trying to stay, bro. Damn, DraftKings just went negative. Okay, bye, baby. I love you. Have fun. Okay, DraftKings, I guess you're going too, bro. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, I have a covered call. So let's close the covered call. Well, let's see right now, because that's going to give me a gain, sadly. So we're going to make money on DraftKings. Ta-da, $28,000 in losses. So bad, so terrible, right? But yeah, we made money. It's our gains now. So watch, do you guys get it now? That's the shitty part. So I've taken my 28,000 in losses, but now everything else is going to be a gain pretty much. And then the whole idea is that you're going to get the money. Like, again, we sell 2 gainers, all of the loss is gone. You see? So we get $28,000 tax-free, essentially. That's what your losses over the years helped you with. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to get $28,000 tax-free. That's what you're watching right now. Does that make sense? So literally 28, I'm going to still do this tomorrow. I'm just getting ahead of it. So I'm selling my losers now so I could show you the loss. And then I'm going to go and see how long it takes to settle. And then we'll have everything. But by Friday, we're going to turn this to a compound. But yeah, so $28,000 pretty much tax-free. Because when I start taking the gains, it'll go to 0. And then, yeah. Ta-da! So let me get rid of the covered call. So I could get rid of the DraftKings. So we're going to make money on that. So look at this is a $400 gain. So what's the amount? Does it show it? Yeah. 28,029, okay? Remember that. Because then you'll see. Buy to close. $17 spread. I'll just pay. Yeah. I don't want to deal with it not getting filled. Did I buy it? Okay, I think I did. Filled at 288. Let's see. Yeah, so the DraftKings, so look now, ready? Tax info year to date, 27618. You see what just happened? I took a gain, so by making money, do you see how my loss goes down now? That's what I was trying to tell you guys. Yeah, you could only write $3,000 off a year, but if you do it how I'm showing you, it plays out differently. You see? So now if you save your losses and do it strategically, you can now get way more of write-offs. Ta-da! That's what I was trying to show you. Now you're watching it. Stalled U.S. tariff talks hinge on Japan's upper house election. All right. How much time I got? I got 10 more minutes. It's been a long day without you, my friend. All right. Is that DraftKings? See, and this is why stocks are good, because they're liquid. So I just sold all of that shit and got all my cash. Just like that. Clicks of buttons. You can't do that with real estate. So that's why I like stocks in some instances and don't. Oh, wait. Place order. I got to keep doing that. All right. I think all my losses are now gone. I think I'll have covered calls. Yeah, the Uber. Ooh, I could add that to the loss. But then we're going to get the gain from the other one. But yeah. And is it T+1? I'm pretty sure it is. That's why I'm going to make sure, but I'm pretty sure I will have all of this settled by tomorrow. I hope. But yeah. So, total gain and loss. Just a covered call. Everything else is green now. And our gain rockets up to 70%. Nice. Well, there you go. All right, Chad. So, half of it, I think, or not really. I don't even know. 55,000 in cash now. So I had 12, so we got what, 40 grand or so? 42, yeah, $43,000. So I took 28,000 in losses, got 43,000 back in liquid cash. And yeah, we're going to wait for round 2 by the next couple of days. And then we're either going to sell all of them or, yeah, we'll find out, bro. Maybe a couple, maybe all of them. I hope not all of them, but it just all depends on this, the loan stuff. Now I'm now that I've decided on the property, we're going to kind of be at that mercy there. But there you have it, my friends. There you have it. So we're not done yet. We're going to have a little bit more. Ta-da! Thank you. Thank you. I know. I hope you guys see this live. That is the point. So I need to go cry now and go to the bathroom. But yeah, there it is, bro. All right, I'll be right back. Please hold. Follow me on Instagram at The Trading Fraternity. Real Cult News on Twitter. Y'all thought I was kidding? You guys are getting a compound. Stop playing with me. Stop playing. I'm so excited, bro. Woo! Oh, dude, you just got a little bit closer. You know that, right? It was already close. I don't think you realized it.
Negotiations
but it just
and the
got that much.
extension,
Got $55,000
really
closer.
Something that the market kind of expected, and a little bit of the noise today, I think, is around the announcements with Japan, South Korea, and some of those tariff levels that were probably a little bit unexpected and higher than people thought. I think overall, many still believe that the negotiations are going to happen, and there is a little bit of a taco kind of feeling out there that, you know, it's a lot of negotiation, but at the end of the day, we're going to find a way through some of the bigger trading partners.
Well, you hope so, because that's what was priced into the market, and I think the reaction today is that all of a sudden when you see your 25 in Japan is South Korea, and he announced a few other second nations like Myanmar, Laos, you're talking 30-40% tariff rates. That's much higher than that 10-15% baseline that I think a lot of people had. And it raises the question right now that if we do start to see the higher end of that tariff scale come in, what does the market do, and what does the market buy if they are going to buy something to protect themselves from that impact?
Yeah, well, look, I think a lot of that good news that's priced in exposes us to negative surprises, and it's a very headline-driven market. So if there are negative news implications from some of the negotiations, it will show up, and it will show up in equity prices. If you think about fundamentals, if you think about the greater macro picture, we have a slowing economy. We have certain things that we're not talking about that's not really priced in, and there is a lot of optimism right now. So I would say being a bit defensive, being up in quality, up in cap, maybe even a slight overweight to fixed income and alternatives at the moment is very, very prudent.
Wow.
How much do the details matter? Because ultimately, we're talking about these tariffs like you can bring the rates down to some level that is not as scary as the ones we saw at the early April levels, and that could be okay. But then you look at the countries that we're talking about here, Japan, South Korea. Are they friends or are they enemies? Ultimately, these are major trading partners. Does the rhetoric matter at the end of the day, given
No, Habibi,
countries
don't
we're
just
talking about
call
are
them
major auto
major,
exporters?
define it by a number and a size and the currency,
showing
Habibi.
us is that conventional
Yalla.
wisdom around
Chatadonia. Josh been saying this. I know, bro. I'm excited. I'm very excited. You have no idea. And I'm good. We worked up to it, bro. We built it. Half of it, I mean, half of the gains was just the gains, so... You know, we got some free money. Time to turn it into a trophy. A real one, bro. I think y'all are this is going to be crazy. But yeah. So we have sold all the losers now. I hope they settle. But that's why I put it in today, because then I could start the clock. So yeah, it says pending activity. So what we're looking for is, you see how it says pending? We need pending to go to cash. Because once it's in cash, I can wire it out. So that's why I'm telling you, like I'm saying, once you're in the process of needing to move this money to get the house, remember, we waited, I've gone through inspection, we're pulling contingencies, all of that. I've been giving you guys updates, but think about it now. It's like the cash has to move from here to the bank, and then the bank to escrow. And escrow gives it to the seller, and then the seller gives you the house. That's how the process is. So now we're finally confirming it. There's no backing out, no turning back. I'm triggering the tax events, and now it's still in my brokerage. So we're going from stock to cash, and now we're selling the cash. Now this cash needs to settle. It should settle by tomorrow. Usually, I'm an old man, so I'm cautious, and I'm used to 3-day settle. In my day, it's just 3 business days. You fucking kids, I don't trust it. It's T+1, fuck you. I'm gonna wait 3 days just in case. You see that? I'm thinking ahead. Just in case they try to fuck me. I'm thinking ahead, you little prick. So yeah, 3 days, now 1 day, who cares? But anyways, so yeah, once the pending settles, whether it's 1 day, 3 days, I've given myself room for error. That's why I wanted to sell the losers now. Some of you are asking why. I want to, let's see. You never fucking know. I don't trust nobody, dog. So I have a goal. I know what I want. So we're selling it. I'm making sure, let's give ourselves some runway. But once it goes pending to cash, I already have some cash. Where the cash at? Where the cash at? Where the fuck is the cash at? I gotta go by percentage. Right here, cash. So it'll go pending to cash. And then I could go cash to my account. Wire, same day, $35 fee. We're in the game. And then that's it. Ta-da! So yeah, that's what I'm saying though. This is what you're gonna have to do. You guys, we said it was sad and shit, but you saw how I just clicked the buttons, dog. Don't overthink it. Again, we're buying a fucking house. So you'll be straight, dog. Don't worry. Move. The soldiers are going off. They're going off to the farm. So they'll come back though, don't worry. But other than that, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And we'll go through all of it, man. And good luck. Will you go round 2? Well, I'm not selling the small account. The small account is still in play. That one's still from 500 to 30,000, still growing. And whatever's left in this account, I'm just gonna keep adding to it. So yeah, we'll see. But still same plans. This is what I was trying to tell y'all. This is what you are all gonna do. This is what you all should be doing. Anybody telling you to do the opposite hates you. What a waste of time. You're in the stock market. You're going to invest. Maybe you'll supplement it with trading, but you should be saving and get into a house because you're going to live in a house, even to trade, dog. And you want to get the house. You're going to move it there, and then you're going to keep saving. House, save, house, save, house, stock, save, house, stock, save, house, stock, save. Rinse and repeat over and over again. Oh, yeah. 40 seconds! The compound monthly payment. So what we're going to start doing, I'm going to pass around every morning a collection plate, and we'll figure it out. But, yeah, I'll give you the collection plate, and then we'll thank you for your support. So thank you for already committing. I appreciate your commitment for $80,000 a month. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm just kidding. Don't. But I don't know. It is my savings though. I don't know if I'm gonna keep throwing the $3K into the long term now that we have a payment. So we gotta find a way to monetize it, bro. But other than that, 3, 2, 1. Ding 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 ding. Horn. Oh, Chad Adonia. Are you kidding me? Chad, we made it. We did it, we made it, baby. 7 hours in the books. A little bit of the long term got sold. Oh, I need a good game in the chat. Hopefully you got to see it all. Hopefully you even thinking about the long term and real estate, all of it. Good game, baby. GG. That's what I'm talking about. It don't matter if you made money or lost money. You should have learned something. You gonna learn, baby. Oh, there's a lot to learn. A lot to do and apply, baby. Good game and GG. Thank you for not getting banned. Thank you for being a part of the community. You know that, bro? I hope I see you at the compound one day. Oh, viewer discretion is advised. Limited time only, not for everybody. Okay, get a long term. Thank you. Take that percent. GG, baby. Amen.
There's a lot I don't know, but I know show some love. I'm so smart, I play dumb. Rather have me the money than have me some fun. Bitch, I'm back. I ain't done really rapping about funds, talking yields and the buns of the curve to the front.
Thank you. All of y'all, baby. My viewers like you. Thank you to everybody who got a long term. Thank you to everybody. They like, damn, what you watching every day? They like, how you are such a good reflection of it.
Cause then everyone got like opinions and thoughts, why they don't mean a lot. And my money on stocks, I can show you the top. Every bottom I bought, both the key and the lock. Don't believe me, just watch. Use my freedom a lot.
I need me to rock. You won't see me a lot. Monday through Friday, you need me, let's talk. Oh, I'll let this one ride, baby. Hey, man. That's it, Chad. GG. Good game.
Benny, you bullish. But baby, I'm not from Chicago. Heard me talking about IV and dripping in bad. They thought that I came from the hospital. No, I just came back from trading. Chest to the sun, no vacations. I'm really not trying to be flagrant when I tell you that most of my calls will be naked. Funny when I make a bad play, I get a standing ovation. It's like I'm addicted to antibiotics to try to get rid of this clap. But fuck it, I always come back in the AM to the GG. What's that stand for? I am not a drug dealer, I'm a landlord. On my Tennessee the roof, that Mercedes-Benz don't need one. I went from Bailey to Bel Air, from the slums to the Ville to the top of the hill to a street where you can't park a car without a parking pass. I'm trying to chill with my boys in an island off the coast, bar hopping like it's Alcatraz. Watching me moves like a salsa class. Plus I got so many bars like the 1 minute chart. I already know you can't handle it. You ain't making moves, you a mannequin. You ain't got that flame, that candlestick.
they ain't got that flame. Tell them it's a cult, not a game. Walk through the mud and the rain, just bring a little hope to the people in pain. I don't want lies, I want honesty. Negative vibes bother me. Stay up on your grind until you make it out of poverty. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get it, my bag on heavy. I'm zoom to the Fetty. My pockets look full, not empty. You loaded, I'm loaded. We never gon' fold, you know it. That's fast right there, go quote it. It's coke, we goated. Different level, it's level, untold. They watching, we popping like options. You know, it's real, it's really real. Like Philo time. Cause you can't help but make a meal if your people blind. Restless, cause I've been up grinding, I just want the Lexus. Cooking up like I'm making breakfast. Oh, I'm eating good, but you know I had to bless it. Looked inside the mirror, told my demons hit the exit.
That was Benny, that was level. Fuck the demons, fuck the devil. Throw the pebble, be successful. You can't tell me code ain't special. I got rich, I made a stencil like a chair. It's really simple, the framework is intellectual. Ay, like Curry on the chain, my brother, you know, wait, I know you know name. You ain't never seen my face, probably watch us in the game. Did it with a couple plays, let me kick a little lesson. You ain't never get a chase. What's yours, you always get what I'm really trying to say. Longer that you on the stock, more that it's getting safe. You ain't like the shit I say, I ain't trying to make it stay. Hey, I'm hitting plays, I'm hitting weights. Your portfolio all day, smiles filled with mostly grace. Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. You probably know the names, you probably thought that you should wait, then went and bought a course to trade. Benny, get some clothes and buy the clothes this shit. Clap them if they talking on some hopeless shit. Cause I've been there and going back. I told y'all that I'm focusing. I know they getting mad. The news is fair as well as motivating. Let's go and a shout out to the vets. Hit the players, then we sending in the jets. Don't be shy, you could send a prayer request. And the list got everything you missed. Love y'all, baby. It's a cup. 2020.
It is a cult.
But talk to me in 2030.
Talk to me in 2030.
You know what it is, baby. Cold music 2020.
Wow.
We coming. Watch out. On the radar.
Hey,
tell them I just want the Lexus. We out here making moves, baby. Let's go.
That's a good one too, bro.
Hey, man.
I kind of like that, dog.
2020.
Dog, has it hit you?
Last time
has it hit you yet?
Deep,
do you realize it? I don't think they realize it.
I thought we had fun with this one. God bless y'all. Stay safe. Stay home. Ay. Wow. Bro, I'm sick. Wuhan, 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 bro, I'm sick. Ay, yeah. Wuhan, Wuhan, Wuhan. Spread the message like Wuhan. Get down to business like Mulan. I found my there's the group. I made $1 million that full time. My job here is too long. I don't try with the news on, cause I am that. That's that. This morning I flipped that flat jack. I got rich, I get back. You bitch that, you piss that, you bitch that. You probably pissed when you sit there. And I'm bidding at my crib where still act like I lit that. 100 blues, but don't feel down. I still swing. Bro, you really sick. Overnight the analyst criticize the politics like it was your job and shit. Tell me if they hiring, cause people broke and people dead. Used to trying to blame the man like God ain't gave you both your hands. You should work those more than you work in them lips. Save a dime of every dollar that you get. Get some this with that drip. Pass that wealth to your kids. That was only 10%. Just imagine if you had some discipline. Bro, I'm sick. Wuhan, 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 bro, I'm sick. Wuhan, 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 bro, I'm sick.
Chad, yeah, I don't know if it hit, bro. That's it. This is how it is, bro. The long term. The long term is turning into a trophy. It's gonna turn into a house. And then we're gonna have it's a different, bro. You know that, right? God is good, bro. I'm very glad because this is very different. You know that. Any compound we talked about 5 years ago was very different. You know that? I was talking about I was going to get a compound in LA. We are getting a farm. Amen. Praise the Lord. May you plant good seed, brother. So, yeah, well, we'll see, man. God willing. It's still not done, but I think we're getting closer. One step at a time. One step at a time, baby. You sow good seed, bro. It's time. So get a long term, baby. Then you plant. You plant sparingly, it will return sparingly. I didn't say that. He did. Oh, yeah. So, Chatadonia, I hope you had a good Monday. I hope you liked the GK Chesterton. You guys like it, but every time, bro, I'm telling you. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I give you the meat, it just don't hit the same. But I'm glad I got to follow it up with you guys live today. But I'm telling you, you are gonna have to evolve to it. Okay? You are gonna have. Some of you are there. That's what I'm saying. But I'm talking everybody. Everybody. You gotta move up, bro. You're gonna get bigger. You're gonna get swole, dog. I'm about to hit the gym right now. So, Chad, God bless you. And you have a wonderful day. I will see you tonight for the watch list. Be safe, be blessed, and expect more, dream bigger. No more limitations, brother. I hope you get out of the box. Game time. So I love you, Chad, and don't forget why we're here. Why we keep going, why that faith, hope, and love ain't ever going out of style, and why it helps us handle the balance. The furious opposites all at the same. You could live in it, man. You could keep it all in purity, and you don't even know what I'm saying. And why, baby? Why? Finger to the sky, baby. To God be the glory, and through the grace of God alone. Amen. Amen. Chatadonia. I love you. God bless you. God bless America. Y'all stay safe, okay? That's it. Stay safe, baby. You're already, but you don't just stand in it. You know that. Just stand and launch. Amen, bro. Amen. I see y'all. To go get a good workout in. Take care of yourself, brother. Amen. Amen. All right. Peace. I'm gonna go work out today. Fuck it. I'm gonna hit the gym. I'm gonna fuck it. I can bench press. I bench press the B. That's my day. I invented BBB. Fuck you, Donald. I busy with Bill back better. Bill back. Where's that fucking big bill for Bill? Fuck you. I don't know. I think I did it better. I think I did it bigger. It's hot. It's hot outside. Oh, you know why? Because you're in America. We're the hottest in the world right now. Ask them. Ask about it. Not under Joe. It was cold under Joe. Cold War. Cold time. I remember they said it was a dark winter. I know. Josh sold Pfizer. Look at that. Good job, Josh. Good job. They're bad people. Even though we all still work with them. Still. Doesn't matter. Get a property. Goodbye. Exactly. I agree with the sentiment, even though I don't even know Jerome Powell or who do you blame for the inflation? If it's housing, I don't know. And don't even ask me anymore. Just you save and you're going to do it. Exactly. There's your solution. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.